No. Don't pretend you have a good point. You don't. Okay.
Ooh.
Socialists. This is actually fundamental to my perspective.
Okay.
Socialists are fucking retarded.
Yeah.
And they can't implement their worldview. Hold on. And they can't implement their worldview into the real.
The whole point of this conversation is you're hiding behind the obscurity of what these words mean. Like, it depends.
Socialism, the idea would be who owns the capital, right? The means of production, which isn't necessarily the same as the wealth. If the wealth is a product of private ownership that's just redistributed. I don't know. I don't know shit about fucking money. Stupid waste of time. We're 36 minutes into a 3-hour debate. Let's go.
Correct?
Yeah, but that's a meaningless statement.
The policies are good.
Okay, so,
Well, wait, because the question would be, are you okay with appealing to members of the Ku Klux Klan?
They like clean drinking water.
No, wait, let him, Let's say that you do like city renovations where you have clean drinking water.
So now let's actually talk about the policies. And
No, you have to answer that question. Would you be okay with having a party that appeals to the Ku Klux Klan?
I'm okay with a party. I'm totally willing to buy bullets. You know I buy bullets. I'm totally willing with a party to appeal to members of the Ku Klux Klan if what is meant by that is appealing to common sense policies.
Which is why, so this is why it's a pointless question.
Wait. It's not a pointless question. It's not a pointless question because there are policies that you would consider socialist. I think under your definition, no true Scotsman definition of socialist, that maybe the Democrats should appeal. So, for example, would you be against? Do you think, first of all, that a national healthcare service is a socialist policy?
No.
Okay, can you give an example of a socialist policy?
Things that involve taking away the means of production from private owners, from capital owners, and giving that so that the workers are exclusively the ones that are in control of the means of production.
So a single-payer healthcare system, let's say health insurance system, let's put aside national healthcare, a single-payer healthcare system that makes it illegal or outlaws private insurance, you would not say that's socialist?
If you're talking about the government owning everything from the top down, then including the hospitals, then theoretically you could call that socialist. Some people might.
Would you call that socialist? Would you call that socialist? Yes.
Holy fuck.
Of the means of production.
So a single-payer healthcare system, let's say health insurance system, let's put aside national healthcare, a single-payer healthcare system that makes it illegal or outlaws private insurance, you would not say that's socialist?
If you're talking about the government owning everything from the top down, then including the hospitals, then theoretically you could call that socialist. Some people might.
Would you call that socialist?
This is where it's like a really difficult question, right? Because it's like, is having the fucking military owned by the state, is that socialist? Like, obviously not. Is nationalizing certain industries in times of crisis, is that socialist? Or I think it depends on why you're nationalizing it, but it's also just the fact that like some people see it as just, well, bringing something private into the socializing is socialist, at least it adheres to socialist principles without going the whole way for your society. So yeah, fuck. Americans just don't have the discourse, they don't have the language.
So, would you call that socialist? Yes.
No, I would call it a state-owned enterprise. Or state-owned enterprise a socialist? I mean, like technically not really, but sure, we can say that.
Wait, is your answer that a single-payer system is not socialist? Is that what your answer is?
I wouldn't call it socialist, but if you wanted to for the purpose of this conversation, sure.
No, I don't know. I want to know your opinion. So I'm asking your opinion. Your answer is no. Single-payer is not socialist.
I don't think it's necessarily like a social policy. You can call it if you wanted to. You could, but if you wanted to,
I'm not asking if I wanted to. I could. I'm asking your opinion.
I'm not asking my opinion. You want me to give you a yes or no answer to an incredibly complicated question about a mode of economy that you just discovered 2 days ago.
Jesus, I want your opinion. I want your opinion.
You want a yes or no?
I want your opinion.
You don't even know what the difference between a state-owned enterprise and what an actual different evolution of a mode of production are.
Do you think single payer? Stephen, I'm not asking would someone else, could you? I'm asking you, Stephen Bonnell, do you consider single payer to be socialist?
I wouldn't call that socialist, no.
Shut up and let me
No, okay, so this is, who's the no true Scotsman here? You guys were saying like the policy that most people...
Yeah, that's what I said. That's kind of true. Man, I feel like I'm having an Avi moment where the only thing I'm really like concerned about in this debate is just the fucking autism around defining terms. Like, oh God, what's this? Lemmy.
If you were in the circumstance...
Yes or no? Yes or no? You can't even answer yes or no. Yes or no?
What do you want me? What do you want me to say?
Yes,
do you want me to just say
no?
yes? Do you want me to just say?
I don't remember this. Do you guys need a mod? Poor Avi. Poor guy.
absolutely considered to be socialist is not socialist. And so our working framework of socialism is only tankyism, only people who want to decommodify everything and have government ownership of everything. And it's preposterous. You're just not operating with the way people use those words.
That's great. That's literally not the argument, though. But if you wanted to argue that if we were to call it socialist and you wanted to socialize the healthcare system, the reason why you would be doing that wouldn't be because you're trying to appeal to socialists. You would say that it's called politics. I know that's hard sometimes. Can I finish my answer? Holy shit. There is a difference between doing something by, so for instance, I'm a free market capitalist, but that doesn't mean I oppose government intrusion into every single sector or even a government monopoly on things like, say, utilities, because there are some things that the free market doesn't solve for. To say that I don't think the free market solves for this, so we should have utility companies ran by the state, is not the same as saying I'm appealing to socialists. That is such a naive reading of politics. Shut the fuck up and let me finish. So when you ask me if a single-payer system would be socialist, I might say, I guess you can consider socialist if you want. The reason why I'm advocating, though, for a single-payer system isn't because I'm trying to appeal to socialists. It's because I think free market capitalism cannot solve the problem.
So this is the obfuscation.
Yes or no? Yes or no? What is a woman? What is a woman? If we're doing that with socialism, we can do that. Okay, go for it. Yeah.
So the obfuscation is the question.
There's no obfuscation, to be clear. You're just confused. Your confusion is not me obfuscating.
The obfuscation is as follows. And I'll identify. The question isn't whether or not the intention behind promoting single-payer system is one way or another. We're not talking about the intention behind why you propose one policy or another. We're just asking in pure semantic terms, would most people call socialized medicine, socialized healthcare, would they call it a socialist policy? And your absurd deflection on that and saying, no, I would not call it socialist. I think just you're not using the terms where people use those terms.
Here's the question. Wait. Do you think that Hasan would call it socialism?
I don't. Wait, why is that relevant?
Why is the largest left-wing streamer relevant to what mainstream thought is amongst leftists on the online media sphere? Wait, did you just say that? Wait, did you just say that?
The Communist Manifesto, that is not authoritative on socialism, but Hasan Piker is.
No, it's not. The Communist Manifesto is not authoritative on socialism.
Hasan Piker is. Hasan Piker, who you said is a fucking limousine.
Oh God, if you knew your Marxist theory here, you would say, of course, the Communist Manifesto is not authoritative on socialism today, because one of the prefaces to one of the editions of the manifesto is literally Marx saying, or one of the other authors, was it Engels, maybe, saying, yes, this is context specific. This manifesto is for the time. Which preface was it? Is it the French one? Communist Manifesto. There were so many fucking prefaces. Is it prefaces? Festo, preface. This is for time and place. What's it? Which fucking preface was it? Who knows? Someone knows. There's definitely at least one fucking former Marxist in here who remembers. Oh God, I don't even know which word to search for. Fuck. The edition I used to have, do I still have it? The edition I used to have had every preface, like the German, the French. Yeah. The German edition, 1872. However much the state of things may have altered during the last 25 years, the general principles laid down in this manifesto are, on the whole, as correct today as ever. Here and there, some detail might be improved. The practical application of the principles will depend, as the manifesto itself states, everywhere and at all times on the historical conditions for the time being existing. And for that reason, no special stress is laid on the revolutionary measures proposed at the end of section 2. Which would be the taxation argument. Like, it's context specific. So yeah, like it wouldn't actually be like an authority on communism 200 years later or 150 years later. Okay.
Yeah, he's definitive on that, but not the Communist Manifesto.
Hold on, I just want to be clear. You're telling me that something that was written almost 100 years ago is more authoritative on what modern day socialists believe than what the largest... Okay, well, I encourage you to do more research when it comes to politics.
Let me say.
Oh, we hit him with a do more research. Damn. He knew about that preface. He just said do more research. So he has to work to find it.
Here. So if we're appealing at that point, though, Destiny, if we're appealing to what people who call themselves socialists actually think, hey, the authoritative source of what socialism is the actually existing socialists today and what they believe in, right? Then in terms of whether or not we're like acquiescing or appealing to the socialist movement, then yeah, like the Bernie Sanders platform concessions of 2016 would count within that reasonable framework, that he was able to raise the minimum wage requirement of the Democratic Party National Committee. He was able to add in things like legalizing marijuana. And so we're hopping back and forth between, oh, well, some socialists say socialism is decommodification of labor.
The difference there is Bernie Sanders is appealing to liberals. Liberals aren't trying to appeal to socialists, right? When Bernie Sanders recommends the legalization of marijuana, that's not socialists, right? That's Bernie Sanders trying to do something in a liberal capitalist framework. He didn't say the government needs to grow weed. Sorry, go on.
Okay, so number one, I take it that you take back the thing you said in the beginning of this debate of when do socialists ever appeal to liberals by just now saying that was an appeal to liberals.
100%.
No, because I said at the beginning, I don't really consider these people socialists. Cook, hey, follow the conversation, okay?
Okay, so now Bernie Sanders isn't a socialist.
I don't consider these. I didn't say at the beginning of this conversation. I don't really consider these people real socialists. No.
No, but Destiny, but what you did say was because the actually existing contemporary socialists like Hasan are authoritative on what socialism is. And so if people like Bernie Sanders, and if I could just finish my point, fuck's sake, if people like Bernie Sanders and people like Mamdani and people like AOC say things like publicly owned grocery stores and single-payer healthcare systems and the expansion of a public education are socialist policies, then we have to agree with them, or at least we have to say that they're a major influence on what it means to be a socialist policy under your own framework.
No, and I would like an opportunity to speak.
No, I want Destiny to really clarify that really quick. Just like, does that make sense?
I can't even finish saying anything without somebody screaming at me.
Hand on my dick and balls for the next 10 minutes. So I would like
Hold on. Connor, please. Destiny was asked a direct question. I'm gonna let him give you.
Okay, then Connor should go right away. Okay, listen, I don't think that you looked at the lawmakers in a democratic system to see who your ideological thought leaders are for certain movements in the United States necessarily. Okay, they're running in certain districts and they're running under the confines of trying to operate within some electoral system so that they can get stuff done. I think that if you want to have this argument right now of like, does Bernie Sanders and AOC dictate what socialism is in the United States? Honestly, when you say it, maybe when Pisco said it, I'm not sure what plan he's on right now, okay? But when you say it, Connor, I think you genuinely believe that, and I don't think you're saying that like with stupidity, and I don't think you're saying that with malice, and I don't think you're a secret pinky or anything like that, okay? I understand what you're saying there, and I want to agree with you, but the problem is that when I go outside, let me explain what the comments.
Recently, socialists have, again, I don't even like calling them socialists, because some of them, it's that intersection. It's the intersection of radical, like Marxist-Leninist socialism, whatever the fuck, also across with campism. And the campism is like massively dominated the discourse for the last couple of years. I seem to remember socialists were glazing the shit out of AOC and Bernie, like not even that long ago, but like they really don't like them now. I don't know. I feel like, when's the last time I saw, obviously, even when Hasan tries to butter up Bernie, I guess probably because he likes maybe he misses 2016 or he wants to have an audience with him and all that shit. But it's like, even that, Hasan's audience doesn't like Bernie. The chat when Bernie's on with Hasan, or when Hasan's talking about Bernie, like it's really, there's a lot of hostility there. Yeah, I don't know. There's that schism, the schism between the alt media left and the political left. But yeah, that's been mentioned already.
The problem is when we go outside of where Econoboy is, there is nobody in the United States media environment, okay, that like calls themselves like really like a socialist, that would look at people like AOC and Bernie Sanders and say, oh yeah, those are socialists. They would call those people stepping stones in the radicalization funnel and good like liberal capitalists at the end of the day, which is these are some like the most,
this is what you want. Hasan,
hold on.
I want to turn.
Go ahead.
Turn because frankly, you guys are talking past each other. Okay. The reason why I've reiterated my definition of socialism as narrow and tailored is because I'm not doing no true Scotsman, okay? I'm telling you what a fucking Scotsman is. It's a Scottish person from fucking Scotland, okay? It's a dude, he wears a kilt, he has his out all the time,
yes,
all right? So,
he does.
The point is, I'm describing very specifically what it is. And the reason why I would be pissed about universal health care or high quality education being labeled socialist is, number one, I think most committed socialists who have read any books about socialism wouldn't agree with that definition. And the only way that I would stretch it is if you considered universal health care or universal access to health care as a part of the decommodification of basic human needs, which, by the way, I'm pretty sure was just food, water, and shelter. But what I'm saying is that the reason why I think that
I mean, I guess like states building houses. Wasn't that was a whole thing with Atlee as well, wasn't it? We're gonna build 3 million houses a year, and then everyone tries to aspire to that ever since in the UK, and they fail. Yeah, but I guess if the entire housing market was fucking socialized, would that be socialist? Like, again, I think it would be. It kind of would be. It just wouldn't be the country as socialist now. It would just be like a policy guided by socialist principles, but. Whatever, I've said like a million times now.
And Pisco, whether they like it or not, are useful fucking idiots for committed socialists and tankies and communists is because they fucking muddy the definitions. They fucking blur it around. They're just like, oh yeah, every public service is fucking socialist.
Connor, give us one example, therefore. Give us one example of a socialist policy. Go.
Making food, water, and shelter available to human beings at the point of service for free.
So you think, so why is that socialist, but doing the same thing with health insurance isn't, and it's because one is basic human needs?
Because I'm going because I'm going off of the fucking definitions of shit. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so healthcare is not a basic human need, but food is.
All you're arguing is that healthcare is.
I'm asking a question. I'm actually asking you a question. Is food more of a human need than healthcare is, as you're seeing it?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So I think that's cooked. I think that's cooked and arbitrary.
Wait, I gotta ask, because this is background. Wait. I need to know. Hold on. Pisco, do you think that healthcare is as important as food?
No, I think food is more important than healthcare.
Okay, so you agreed with Connor. I don't know why you just said Connor was
cooked. No. Wait.
I don't know. Where does that definition come from, though? That definition where it's got to be the most basic human needs that makes it socialist, but it's not if it's a less basic need like healthcare. What definition is that? I don't know what that one is. Oh, all right.
You're cooked in that I would consider, I think most people consider in basic human necessity need healthcare as well as food. Not that food is more important.
You asked him which was more important, didn't you? Did I miss that? Hold on, wait. I'm sorry, I'm appealing to the moderator. Did he ask which one was more important, or did he say we're both important?
He asked which is more important.
Thank you. Okay, he did. So you just totally mischaracterized Connor's point.
No.
You did.
Is it more in the sense of is it more of a basic human necessity in the sense that it's a separate category of thing, that there are separate categories that food is a basic human necessity in a way that
you don't need to cope. You can just
hold on. Also, it doesn't. Hold on. Wait. Just to be clear, because you're trying to bail yourself out. It doesn't make sense what you just said. Is something more of this in a category, or is it just in the category? Those are two.
No, it makes sense.
Is a Ford Focus more of a car? No, he's trying to catch Connor. He fucked up. He realized what he said was fucking retarded. He's trying to walk down the word game. That's what's happening right now. It's a word game. It's a word game.
This is all.
I know people like to virtue signal. Oh, you think healthcare is not a human right? Like, obviously, food is more important than healthcare. Like, is that okay? Is that okay to say? Is it okay to agree that food is more of a basic need than healthcare?
All weaselness.
It is weaselness. We agree with that. We all get that.
So when you say the word a basic human necessity, all right, a basic human necessity, in what respect is food a basic human necessity, and with respect that healthcare is not? And I'm trying to see what are the metrics by which you assess healthcare to be more of a basic human necessity. Wait, stop. I'm clarifying. I'm clarifying. So just because I say something is more important, and I'm going to get Destiny to agree with this, just because something is more important, I consider something to be more important, doesn't mean it's more of a basic human necessity. Yes or no?
Who?
Stephen.
You're tripping over your words. You just said again. You said more of a basic human necessity, but when you mean to say it doesn't belong to the category of basic human necessity.
Wait, Stephen. Is the term basic human necessity and important the same?
No.
Okay, so saying something along the spectrum of basic human necessity and importance, those are different questions, right?
Debating whether or not.
Stephen, are they different questions or not?
Those are different words. I don't even know what you're asking.
So is something on the spectrum of basic human necessity the same spectrum of importance? Because importance can encompass more than just something that's basic human necessity.
It can be more important along the spectrum, sure.
Okay, so so there's no contradiction, right? Can you identify contradiction?
No, vegan games, sir. I cannot identify contradiction.
Okay, so I don't want to
say food is more important than healthcare, and you said yes. You said it was
I don't.
I've been on panels with Pisco before. This yes or no thing and the. How long has he done that before? Is that new? I feel like if someone kept doing that to me in a debate, especially because I like to consider myself an observer of a very complicated and nuanced world. I feel like if someone kept doing that to me, I feel like I'd probably just kill myself and hope that I just bleed all over them. I don't know. Not like that, obviously. That's about disproportionate. It's not a lawyer style. I don't know why people keep saying that. It's not, lawyers don't do that. Do they? Do lawyers do? I thought lawyers did that fucking Tom Cruise in that film with Jack Nicholson. But they don't actually do that, do they? What? Can I just be yes or no? You can't handle a yes or a no. I don't know. Maybe. I guess they do it in TV. There are times when you sometimes need to extract a yes or a no, but I feel like there's a lot of it going on here. I don't know. Shit. Railroading. Bulldozing.
I don't think it's interesting to debate whether or not Pisco got dunked on just now. Okay, I want to go back to what Destiny said previously, which I thought was pretty interesting. So Destiny made the claim that the people that he would look to determine who are the ideological thought leaders of socialists, like people who label themselves as socialists, wouldn't be people he said necessarily like Bernie Sanders or Mamdani or AOC. Now, I would say this is pretty absurd for a number of reasons. Okay, if we look at, hey, when people go and have public events, right? Hey, Hasan goes and has a public event. How many people show up? I'd say maybe a few hundred. Maybe he gets into the 1,000 plus club or something. When AOC and Bernie Sanders go out and have an event, thousands of people show up. They can fill stadiums, fill arenas. When people actually go out and express their political views, what are my political views? Millions of people voted for Bernie Sanders. Hundreds of thousands of people, probably millions of people across the country, vote for Democratic Socialist politicians. And so when we look at Democratic Socialists and Socialist politicians, they are clearly, by ideological standpoint and by their propensity to collaborate within Democratic Party frameworks and electoralism, much different than Hasan and much more emblematic of the standard by which we should judge people who label themselves as socialists in this country.
And why did I got a quick. So hold on. I'm sorry. Why didn't the DSA then endorse AOC?
Because she came out with that vote on for the national DSA retracted their vote because of the Iron Dome vote that AOC took.
Seems like kind of a problem. That seems like just identifying yourself.
That's not a socialist.
The DSA is not socialist.
Destiny, you're obfuscating.
It's a bad example.
The point is not.
It's a horrible example.
Oh shit! Ask him yes or no. Ask him if the DSA is socialist. Yes or no. That's how you do it, isn't it? You have to be like, is it yes or no? Is the DSA socialist? And shine the light in his face. Here. Oh shit. Okay, I'm picking it up.
Oh, Destiny, 1 second. The reason I say you're obfuscating is because my point was not that, for instance, within DSA, within all of these different democratic socialist politicians, even within those people, Mamdani is not the same as AOC, and no one DSA member is the same as any other one. Okay?
We're not talking about one DSA member. The national DSA did not endorse AOC. The woman who runs as a Democrat in the Democratic Party.
They did endorse Mamdani, okay? They did endorse many other democratic socialist candidates. I understand.
Sure, but you're talking about your most popular...
If I could just finish.
Yeah.
I understand that there is an exception to the general rule of democratic socialists, like the organization endorses, you know, different people who call themselves democratic socialists, but that's not an argument against my fundamental point, which is that when we agglomerate all of the people who call themselves socialists and run for parties and
Connor's poor hand. Oh shit.
Have people come out and vote for them and support them, that is a fundamentally different group of people on average by the normal distribution of their beliefs than people like Hasan. And I think that we should judge them by who they vote for more so than by, you know, Hasan basically.
Yep.
I don't disagree with that at all. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, Destiny, you agree then. Okay, well then, thank you.
Okay, counterpoint.
All right.
I love you, Connor.
Okay. I think what happened in socialism was that if you actually go back to Bernie Sanders in the 80s and the 70s, he was doing apologia for Cuba. He was doing apologia for the Soviet Union. He did apologia for Venezuela in the 90s and thousands. And you know what happened? Each one of those places ended up being absolute shitholes. So what he had to do, is he had to move to social democratic models in the Scandinavian system and abandon his previous hardcore shit. But there's a question of whether or not social democrats are actually just hiding their power level because they're trying to inculcate a left-wing philosophy. I'm not done yet.
Let's Connor finish.
Shut up. Why is it relevant? This is the entire conversation. The entire conversation is whether or not social democracy.
The entire conversation is your conspiracy theory about socialists.
The center left. That's the whole fucking conversation.
Okay, so you're just you're asserting a conspiracy without much evidence. You're just saying, oh, Bernie actually conspiratorially supports things like Cuba and the Soviet Union, and he didn't have any genuine changes of opinion.
Ideas. He might have moved off of hardcore.
Hold on, just real quick. Like the idea.
Hasan hasn't.
Hold on, just real quick.
Second thought hasn't.
Hold on, stop. The idea that Counterpoint is expressing is that there are leftists who have said explicitly that their goal is to infiltrate the Democratic Party to move it towards leftism. It is not a conspiracy in the sense of it's crazy. It is a conspiracy in the sense that these people have said, this is what we're going to do, this is our goal for doing it, and this is how we're going to do it.
Why is that relevant to our discussion?
It's relevant to the discussion because should we, the Democrats, allow or invite into our house as influencers, invite into our house as staffers, invite into our house as people we will engage with or collaborate with in a friendly way? Should we be doing that when we know that this is their goal?
I'll answer the question directly. So it's only quote unquote a problem insofar as it's aggregately true of the 10% of the Democratic Party base that's actually engaged in that process. Now I understand that that's, you know, that we don't have a poll that says how many of you are engaged in this kind of like Manchurian candidate fucking like conspiracy, whatever the fuck, like Connor's describing. But I would say that generally speaking, when I look at the actions of Democratic Socialists who win elections, when I look at the actions of Democratic Socialists and the platforms of them.
Tony Blair and Rosa Luxemburg both called themselves Social Democrat. Pretty sure Rosa Luxemburg was in the Communist Party that was against the Social Democrats. And I think Tony Blair called himself a socialist. When he was trying to be leader of the Labour Party, he called himself a socialist, didn't he? Because this is what they would do. They'd do this ritualistic shit where they'd be like, are you a socialist? And they'd be like, yes, I am a socialist. Like, that's what Labour Party candidates would do. So when did Rosa Luxemburg call herself a social democrat? I mean, she literally died trying to help the KPD overthrow the Social Democrats, didn't she? Am I wrong?
They don't seem to be secret tankies. Now, I would agree that there are certain people, like people reference Hasan, like Hasan has said, oh, like I want liberals. Well, okay, yeah. Oh, people reference other left-wing alternative media influencers. Oh, sure, okay, like whatever. People reference people like that, and sure, yeah, to the extent that those people have like literally on record said that they're just trying to obfuscate issues and engage in this kind of, you know, like conspiracy or whatever, then I've already said at the very beginning of this debate that people like that probably shouldn't be invited into the inner party and be given platforms in Democratic Party circles. That's obviously true. That's trivially true.
As I understand the disagreement here,
she was in the SPD before 1916. Oh, okay. But she kind of made history by doing the communist thing, because that's why they killed her. That's why the fucking Freikorps knocked her block off, threw her in the river. Shit.
That, and again, they can correct me if I'm wrong, but Destiny and Counterpoints think that you are allowing this to happen. Like,
no, wait, hang on a second. But they're saying the disagreement is also semantic bullshit. Connor, is China a communist country or socialist country?
Is what?
Is China a socialist country?
Are they moneyless, stateless, or classless?
No, they have class.
No, then they're not.
Okay. Is there any?
Is the Soviet Union a socialist? Okay, all right. That means there's no socialist. The only socialist country is fucking Sentinel Island, I guess, if that's the definition. But okay.
A socialist country in the world right now.
I don't think anybody has like.
So who's no true Scotsman? So tell me, who's no true Scotsman?
I'll answer your question. No. Don't pretend you have a good point. You don't. Okay. Ooh. Socialists. This is actually fundamental to my perspective.
Okay.
Socialists are fucking retarded.
Yeah.
And they can't implement their worldview. Hold on. And they can't implement their worldview into the real world. So if you look at the 20th century, there's something called vanguard Marxism or Marxist-Leninism. And they have these things called vanguard parties that take over countries and turn them into shitholes. And so we have people like Hakim, Second Thought, Hasan Piker, who try to sweep this history away. No, I'm telling you the truth. And these are the people.
You're just monologuing, old man.
Econo Boy and you are useful idiots for.
No. So under your vision, right? Single payer is not socialist. There's no socialist country. Socialism has never been done.
Because I'm using the definitions that socialists themselves use.
But by the way, like, and I'm sure Stephen.
Wait. You're actually speaking from a perspective of ignorance. I'm going to tell you why you're speaking from a position of ignorance momentarily.
Don't a lot of socialists say that the USSR is state capitalism? Yeah, but this was a thing. Like when I used to hang out with a group of people who were part of the British Socialist Worker Party. These guys were really fucking extreme. They would always say that USSR was a bureaucratic state capitalism. You know, like it wasn't a union. There were no Soviets. It wasn't socialist, and it wasn't a republic. It's just called that, right? Yeah. But there was also this whole thing where, especially for like old boomer leftists in the UK, is a lot of them, even a lot of Labour MPs, had this trajectory where they dick sucked the Soviet Union, even did apologia for like the Khmer Rouge or for Milosevic even in Yugoslavia. But then after those empires all like fell apart and after those regimes fell to pieces, then suddenly they're all like, yeah, that was all shit. It was bad. It was fake socialism. Yeah. Actually, even Attlee said nice things about the Soviet Union back even when the communists hated him, but that was more because of like propaganda and shit, because they'd managed to hide their excesses.
I just want to go, Stephen, you acknowledge that what Connor just said is f***ing so stupid as to be...
You idiot, you're speaking from a position of
I'm asking a question to Stephen.
You're speaking from a position of ignorance.
Stephen, do you agree?
Let him demonstrate that. Stop, counterpoints. Let him demonstrate it if you think he's...
the worst behaved person here, Wick. You keep moderating me. All these
guys
have been arguing for 30 goddamn minutes.
Stop. Keep moderating Connor.
Stop. Please go. He's arguing from a position of ignorance.
Okay, then let him demonstrate that. Shut up.
Connor is misbehaving.
I have a question for Stephen. Stephen, do you agree with Connor's contention that there's no socialist country currently and that single payer is not a socialist policy?
Both of those questions are very complicated. It's hard to yes or no them. The issue right now that we're having with this conversation is every single conversation that I ever had with eccentric.
It's hard to yes or no them. That exposes weakness. Oh no.
That defended a Nazi, and now it's going to be, I guess, for the next however many years, every conversation with a center-left socialist or a Demsoc who inevitably will play cover for tankies. The issue is that you guys have come here to defend the proposition that socialists are AOC, Bernie Sanders, and Mamdani. Okay, AOC is not even currently endorsed by the largest socialist movement in the United States. Bernie Sanders causes major contention over his endorsement. All of these people run as Democrats, and you're going to pretend like this is the main voice of the socialist movement in the United States, and you're going to say it, and you're going to say it by talking about policies that they're using to appeal to mainstream.
What the fuck is happening here? What? I thought this was like a... No, that's actually how she's standing, isn't it? That's not like a prop. There was like some... What are they doing?
You got it.
Is this just promo?
Yeah, find your balance. Find your balance. Okay? All right, that's all you.
This is that IDF combat training.
Just make it happen. For two, put them both up. You can do it.
The Nicki Minaj challenge. Is this like when you try to do the Slav squat, but crazier? I think if I tried to do that, my hip would fall out. Okay.
Sir, didn't hear an answer to my question.
I can't finish. You're gonna say that these represent socialists in the United States. Holy shit! You're gonna say that these appeal to socialists in the United States because they're doing things that are popular amongst literally all center-left people, and then you're gonna say that's an example for why we should try harder to appeal to leftists. When my question earlier is, let's look at the media apparatus. The entire left-wing media apparatus constantly attacks and shits on Democrats, and then you guys like watching Pisco stumble through, not knowing 50 different terms related to what Hasan talks about on his stream, and play cover for him over and over and over again, whether it's the ridiculous TSA story or whether it's his ridiculous political beliefs that where Pisco pretends not to know what any of these things are, not to know what, well, re-education camp, isn't that like getting your GED, LOL, right? That's the issue that people have when they look at it and go, okay, every time you come to argue with us about defending socialists, you talk about AOC and Bernie Sanders, but then when you look at the media environment, they're talking about fucking Stalin. That's the issue.
Okay, so I didn't hear an answer to the question, so I'll just ask it again.
Ask it again, and then I want to tell you what you're saying.
Well, I want to hear an answer from Stephen, so he just fucking filibustered when he's trying to ask
you can dodge, cool.
Do you agree with Connor's contention that there is no socialist country and that single payer is not a socialist policy?
The whole point of this conversation is you're hiding behind the obscurity of what these words mean. Look, Like, it depends. There are some socialists who would say that there are no socialist countries. There are other socialists that would point to. No, I would never. Much the same that if I was on a podcast and a conservative influencer said, "What is a woman?" Define it in 3 words. I would say I can't really do that. It's more complicated than that. Unfortunately, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Pisco, can I tell you why you're confidently ignorant and kind of stupid in this conversation right now? I would like a minute, please.
Yeah.
So the reason why you're confidently stupid is because vanguard parties want to institute socialism as a stepping stone to communism. But in the early 20th century, Mao Zedong took over China, and then he totally fucked it up. He tried to do a command economy where he guaranteed food, water, and shelter, and he tried to do a massive industrialization in the middle of the 20th century. He was so stupid and so wrong that he caused the death of millions, if not tens of millions of people. And so what happened was through the 60s and 70s...
Millions, if not tens of millions. Okay, conservative estimates, okay. Pretty sure it was actually tens of millions, wasn't it? Do people still dispute that? It's like the Black Book of Comment... Pretty sure it was definitely tens of millions, wasn't it, that died in the Great Leap Forward? And much more if you count the sparrows. Billions if you count the sparrows.
They said, hey, Mao, this is kind of a bad idea. Maybe we should maybe we should do some state capitalism first. That way we can do this. And you know what he did? He culturally purged and killed the people that did that until he eventually died. And then Deng Xiaoping intentionally instituted state capitalism, which is where you have a free market, hybridized command economy. And by the way, this is mentioned by socialists as a stepping stone to socialism. So you saying what I said is fucking stupid, you don't know dick about history, and you're overly confident for a topic you don't know shit about. So jump on another rake, you fucking dumbass.
Let me explain how Connor is completely wrong about what he just said. Okay?
Oh, suck a dick, Econo Boy. You
let Econo Boy go ahead. Go ahead, Econo Boy.
I don't know what I did.
Let me explain
how he's described. So he's describing vanguardists and why they'll use promises of. I don't know what Connor said that anyone would disagree with, but okay.
We're not sweeping.
Oh, wait. What's this? This is Hasan's response to the debate. He commented on the debate. What, Chad?
Saw something that I found very interesting. I guess there's like a dude out there. Remember the guy who Sex Pest and he was like debating, duking out in the marketplace of ideas? He's some lawyer guy named Pisco or something. And remember when I was talking about that?
Why does he pretend he doesn't know who these people are? What the fuck? I think Pisco's been around long enough. Okay.
Well, apparently his community actually did something that's quite interesting. Instead of behaving like Destiny Orbiters normally do, which is just like fucking lie about my positions and then design an entire narrative off of this falsehood that they've created around a position that I do not hold, they actually went back to the original. Okay, they actually went back to the original fucking content and assessed it without Destiny filtering it. Okay. And I thought that was...
There's no fucking way he is projecting that fucking shit. Now, excuse me while I go and watch one of my critics through a selection of clips taken by Bad Empanada or fucking Disinfo Tracker or like the fucking Gato retard with all their commentary and just watch that instead because I can't handle criticism on my own ever. Like, what the fuck? Oh, Lornerbox is having a critique of me. Okay, well, let's go through the Bad Empanada catalog and just find whatever fucking 3-second clip he's done and then just watch 15 minutes of commentary and then I've done the work. This guy literally needs like 2 or 3 pairs of hands to fucking attack any of his like anything I say about him. Holy shit. There's no way he's not that. Okay, that's really triggering. Fuck me. Jesus. One phone call, Hasan. One phone call. Otherwise, we're invading Israel. Fucking retard.
Really interesting. And I wanted to see if I can find it real quick. There's it's specifically about me and my advocacy for re-education camps, which is not even a thing that I have said. You know, it's not even a thing that I've advocated for, but I found it quite interesting because I don't really.
It's so fucking impressive. It's like, because people have bought this. I don't understand how you realize that for 100 years in the context of socialism, re-education happened in a camp. Whether it's like Vietnam, Soviet Union, China, Mozambique, if you re-educate someone as a socialist, you're doing it in a camp against their will. That's what you do. And it usually fucking fails because it turns out it's quite easy to turn someone's mind into mush. It's not that easy to like retrain them to think the way you want ideologically. Re-education for socialists has meant in a camp for 100 years. Exactly until the moment that Hasan let that mask slip a little bit on H3. Now suddenly it means something completely different. And the fact that I've seen, it was on Twitter, it was Queeman, was it? It might not have been Queeman, pinch of salt. But people taking this re-education camp thing, there was a fucking Reddit post about it. And despite it always meaning at a camp, but because Hasan's mask slips and he has to fucking quickly reinvent the term, now people are like, oh, well, doesn't mean re-education like how some terrorists commit crimes and then they go to jail and then they get rehabilitated and they get their A levels? Like, no, you dense piece of shit. Like, you fucking cum sack. Fucking hell. No, it doesn't. It doesn't mean that. It means in a camp. It means in a camp. And that's why Hasan elevates people. That's why Hasan elevates people who know that it means in a fucking camp. I'm sorry. It happens in a camp. Oh, God. But I guess that's it. That's the whole effort, you know. All the king's horses and all the king's men have to run and scramble together this completely new definition of re-education that doesn't happen in a camp. Because Hasan's mask fucking slipped in an Ethan podcast. Jesus Christ. I can't tell if I was going for cunt or cumsack. You dense glump. But, you know, maybe Hasan didn't know that the ideology that he's been preaching from the fucking rooftops for the last 5 years entailed a definition of re-education that meant camps and coercion. You know, maybe he didn't know that. You know, well, this is, we have to give some charity to the biggest political streamer for the left. One of the biggest political streamers on the whole, actually, you know, Asmongold. Fuck's sake. All right.
Look at the other side. I don't really broach into the dark side of the internet frequently.
Oh, yeah.
But
so I found this thing on H3 Snark, I believe they call it. I'm not really a frequenter of these venues.
It was interesting seeing people basically go back and be like, hey, I don't really like Hasan. I'm a liberal. But I've realized that a lot of these other like liberal content creators have just been straight up lying about Hasan's positions, which is like, yeah, that's exactly what's been going on in perpetuity, pretty much for every single thing. One of the ways in which people do that is when they take something that I've said that is a joke and act as though I'm saying it sincerely. That's obviously a classic version of this. But what's crazy?
I was a fucking, listen, 2022, okay? I was a canary in the coal mine for this shit. This is why I'm afraid of a Hasan presidency, right? It's because he'd elevate fucking human hemorrhoids like this.
I love the idea. If I love settler colonialism, then I'm not allowed to just call him a piece of shit. I'm not allowed to say that you're a fucking colonizer. Get the fuck out of here. Get against the wall.
You called him a piece of shit. It's that you said he deserves the wall.
He does. Is she colonizing land?
People who, do you think Eris deserves the wall?
Is she an advocate for settler colonialism?
I'm sure by wall what they mean is like when you're in prison and you're like surrounded by walls and like everywhere you look there's another fucking wall. But you know, mostly you can look down from the wall at your little fucking textbook and do your A levels and get rehabilitated based.
Is she colonizing land? Does she support continuing to colonize this land?
You tell me.
I think she doesn't even live there. Honestly, I'm not even sure if she is what she says she is.
You think she's supporting them? You think she's supporting a Jewish ethnic state in Israel?
She's literally an anime. Her name's not even Eris.
You don't walk away from the fucking
You're
claim.
complaining about me bullying a fucking ventriloquist dummy. Like, give me a break.
You said, I'm asking you if she deserves the wall.
I think she deserves intensive re-education.
You think she needs intensive re-education?
Absolutely.
In a camp?
I mean, you could.
I don't know why I guessed in a camp. I guess I just have this like 400 IQ ability to take people at their political ideologies and listen to terminology that they use and know the connotations of the. I don't know, but you know, not everyone can do that. You know, that's the kind of thing that is really reserved for very, very good-looking people like me.
Call it a camp, whatever you want. Prison. Denazification was a thing, you understand.
You realize that Hasan, yeah, and he admits it obviously, because this is the difference, right? This is like Hasan's minister of internal security. I'm asking you if she deserves the wall.
I think she deserves intensive re-education.
You think she needs intensive re-education?
Absolutely.
In a camp?
I mean, you call it a camp, whatever you want. Prison. Denazification was a thing, you understand.
I mean, that was just luck, though. what I do is basically every time someone advocates for anything, I just say, oh, well, that happened in a camp. And that one time I got it right.
About it. Oh my God, they deleted it? You shouldn't trust DGG with how to interpret Hasan's ideology. Re-education camps as an example. Wait, what the fuck? Why did he delete it?
This was the Reddit post.
Wait. This was like a long effort post that I was going to go through. Deleted because too much context. Context is not allowed. The account got deleted?
What was the question Hasan was asked? It wasn't even about criminals or anything. It was about people who wanted to form a capitalist party in a socialist country.
Wait, what the fuck? How is it? What?
What?
Bro, this shit was there. This shit was there this morning. The account being deleted shouldn't delete the post. Yeah, what?
No, he said ideological criminals who commit violence. Yeah, he said that after he was asked a question about capitalists in a fucking socialist country, when he realized that what he said was fucking mental and he's on a normie podcast and needs to repair the fucking image. Like, again, what? So what? Like, I guess you can do the thing that the Soviets did, which is where they say, yeah, these people actually are, they've committed crimes, you know, like, and some of the crimes that are listed as like, as violations in the Soviet Union are like, what do they entail? Like not doing your duty properly. Okay, let me see. Where's that clip? Where's the debate from? H3H3, Hasan, re-education. Give me the full context. Am I going to find the episode or... Oh, what episode was it? It was Leftovers, but... Did I cover it on my stream? I don't remember if I did that one. Leftovers 58. Was that it?
If you're in a socialist country...
This is the Destiny video of it. This is the Leftovers episode?
Let's say. Or someone is doing South Korean...
Oh, it's timestamped. Is it?
...style... purges of communism.
Oh, is it around here?
Believe that like
context.
that is the best possible way of developing a society, or you do it at the behest of capital owners and capitalism.
So you're saying you don't think it matters if there's one party or...
I don't think it matters as far as I care about direct democratic participation in local in local
one party systems with socialism or communism has pretty much always been a catastrophe, a humanitarian disaster.
No, I agree with that.
There's just so much risk in having one party.
I agree with that. I think that a multi-party system is obviously going to be better. My point is that it doesn't even matter if you have a parliament. It doesn't even matter if you have a multi-party system. The changes that are being made in one direction or the other are oftentimes incredibly marginal. And the differences are not born out of like the party disagreements. The differences are born out of like genuine material conflict, like even including like the Civil War. It's never like the kindness of people's or like one party of individuals being like, we are kind, we want to do good things, and the other side is bad and they want to do bad things.
So what I want to say was this then: if you're in a socialist country with multiple parties, and one of the parties is a capitalist party, which would surely exist, what would you do if that party started gaining momentum? And it was clearly like people wanted that route. They wanted that route. Yeah. So what do you do?
I think I would do what America has done, not to the same degree, not to the same degree as like McCarthyist trials or anything like that. But I would offer additional amenities to ensure that people are comfortable.
This is fucked as well. Like, why would you say I would do like what America's done, but not as bad? But remember, in Hasan's world, what America's done is like the fucking Gestapo for lefties. Okay. Why would he say that? Why would he say that?
And happy because I feel like
But what do you do if they're like, nah, fuck that, we're doing capitalism?
Well, if everything is given to you, at that point, if every single thing is given to you, if all of your problems are solved, which I think we can both agree,
and this is like the lack of engagement as well. It's like, well, okay, listen, everyone's kind of got everything in this super abundant communist gay space communism, fully automated luxury. Why is anyone even trying to start a capitalist country? Okay, come on.
Not under capitalism, it has not happened.
No.
If all of those problems have been solved, then there is no need for conflict of that regard.
But they're saying, no, we want to do, because they're like, yo, this is a free country, right? Well, we want to do capitalism. Yeah. We think the market should regulate the prices and shit. Like, we don't think the workplace should be socialized.
Okay, that's a great question.
And what if
you have to ask why though at that point? Because
people never can be explained by why.
You have to ask why. Yeah, in a perfect society, why would any bloodthirsty, disgusting, greedy, capitalist, Jewish, not that Zionists, capitalists, why would they ever want to reinstate private property that has caused so much damage in the world? It's like he's setting you up for some kind of like fucking retribution against these people. It's just,
you know what I mean?
Some people are gonna be dumb. You're right.
It's like it's just gonna exist. You know it is.
Yeah.
And so if the will of the people is to go back to do more of a social democracy, is that something that a socialist country should move towards, or should there be resistance in the government to keep socialism?
I think the resistance should be akin to how capitalist governments have resisted historically any kind of socialist movement. Not to
but again, capitalists have resisted, especially in Hasan's world, like as it is, capitalism resisted socialism very violently. And in Hasan's world, it was like a million times worse in terms of the violence, like because everything's exaggerated in his world. Yeah.
Same degree of violence, but I think that yes, the solution to that would always be education and offering more
re-education.
Re-education, certainly, yeah.
Now the question was a capitalist party in a socialist country. Why the fuck is your head going to re-education if not that we are going to imprison people and forcibly push them to change their ideology like against their will? It's so dumb.
I know that that's like a trigger word.
Camps.
I know that's a trigger word. Like he knows what it means.
I know there's a trigger word because everyone goes, "Oh, re-education." What do you mean? Like immediately people think like, "Are you talking about? Are you talking about like resident schools? Are you talking about the Xinjiang?" Yeah, 100%. They do. They do it. They did it in Xinjiang, which I think
good, right?
No, I don't agree with that. Yeah, I don't think it was good. This is something I have openly criticized as well. Like that's not good. The massive surveillance apparatus they built.
You'd never let an extremist on the other side get away with this. You would never let like a right-wing extremist get away with, oh yeah, we just want the whites to have their country in America, and we want the blacks to have their part of the country, and it'll all just be a very peaceful separation of territory. You know, the blacks can get Florida. It's like it'll all be peaceful. Yeah, what if they say no, you idiot? Like, why would you do that? So stupid. It's so dumb. Why would you do that? Fuck.
The Xinjiang is not good.
So what would be good about a socialist re-education camp for capitalists?
It wouldn't necessarily. I don't think it'd be camps. I mean, it depends on crimes, right? Like, are people committing crimes at the behest of this? Because if there's a socialist state and someone is doing,
also, in the capitalist world, people were saying that we do this for people who commit crimes in like for ideology. Well, when it comes to de-radicalization programs, I think Sweden is quite popular for this, for the neo-Nazis. Those are voluntary, for one. Or if someone's in jail because they've like fucking murdered someone, then they go in and they, like, if they're a neo-Nazi, they can go in for rehabilitation. But no one has ever described that as re-education. No one has described that as re-education, ever. And when it comes to other kinds of criminals, typically if a communist commits a crime in this country or in America, I don't think you arrest them and jail them and then force them to learn the virtues of capitalism through re-education. We don't do that.
Like white terror, let's say, or someone is doing South Korean style, purges of communists, which has happened historically in every country that America is aligned with because they were anti-communist, where they've launched, military dictatorships, whether we recognize it or not. Those things have happened, right? So in a situation like that, I think if there's any kind of like,
you know what this is? This is just an attempt at a save. After he said re-education.
That like that is the best possible way of developing a society, or you do it at the behest of capital owners and capitalism.
Where was the question?
So you're saying you don't think it matters if there's one party or I think one party.
Or if you have the other, out of even individuals.
If you're in a socialist country with multiple parties, and one of the parties is a capitalist party, which would surely exist.
The question was about what you would do with a capitalist party, and we went to re-education, and then he switched it over to crimes. So yeah, it's. I don't know why you give this any charitability. Like, it's so stupid.
The 20th century socialist. Please do.
So, yeah, let me explain, dumb fuck. Okay, because you're completely wrong about your characterization of socialism, okay, and the history of socialism during that same exact time period. Okay, so Connor, would you say that there were other socialists on the planet engaged in socialist advocacy at the same time as Mao?
Absolutely.
Okay, so your characterization that Maoism and that the people who followed Mao and the socialist models after that were in reaction to Mao is necessarily wrong because they were concurrent.
What should the US do if a pro-chattel slavery party surfaced? Well, I think the way that the Constitution works is that you would outlaw those parties because they violate the Constitution. No? Or if you can't outlaw, I don't know how it works in America. I think we ban parties in the UK. If you can't ban them, then, I don't know, fucking defeat them. Or now if they start growing, that's a big question. But I'm pretty sure, is there not like a whole thing where parties that want to bring about slavery, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know the answer to that. If they start growing, I don't know what you would do in the US. However, the solution is not to put them in a camp where you try to educate the pro-slavery out of them by force, because that doesn't fucking work. I don't know if you guys know, but you can read a little bit about what happened in these re-education camps. There was, to cut a long story short, there was a lot of camp and not that much education. Okay, that's kind of what happened in re-education camps. They're a failure.
Socialist movements to Mao. You understand that, right?
Hold on. I can name half a dozen. Can you name half a dozen?
Dumb fuck. Can you answer that question?
What's your question?
The question is, since there were concurrent socialist movements to Mao, it is necessarily not true that socialist movements that came after were just in response to the Maoist model of socialism.
Okay, I'm going to be a dick because I'm going to answer the question, but I'm going to be a dick about it. Yeah, there were concurrent movements, and a majority of them were Marxist-Leninist. They were Pol Pot. They were fucking Soviet Union. So if they're all fucking Marxist-Leninists, and Maoism is an iteration of Marxist-Leninism, and if they share similar issues like authoritarianism, centrally planned economies, and dystopian fucking Orwellian nightmare states, then why the fuck do I give a shit about your differentiation?
You're wrong about your empirical claim. The Social Democratic Party of Australia, the Labour Party of the UK, the Social Democratic Party of Germany, every single one of the, wait 1 second.
The nice ones who slept for the
socialists who didn't do the murder are also socialists, Connor.
Socialists. Is Clement Attlee a socialist?
Hold on, just because I don't know. Hold on, stop, I have a question. Stop.
Jihadists aren't the same thing as all Muslims, which is what you're saying, Connor.
Question for you. If you shut up, I could ask the question. Econoboy, those, the ones
Clement Attlee, Australia,
Germany, Australia, did they have control of the government?
Yep.
Nope. Yes. Clement Attlee had control. Wait, Clement Attlee had a massive. Oh my God.
Yes. God, the fucking Clement Attlee example is so. Oh God, it's just like I don't even know if it would actually work for Stephen and Connor's argument though. It's just that fuck. That's really frustrating. Man, what can you do? I told the Connor boy, it's fine. We've communicated the message. It's just that, yeah, the difference with Attlee is that like communists and socialists were a very distinct category in Attlee's time. The socialists were social democrats and the communists were Soviets, right? They were directed by the Central Committee, I think, even in Attlee's time. So they would just take marching orders from Stalin telling them to call Attlee a social fascist and to be his enemy, basically. Yeah. And Attlee was like fucking getting them kicked out of their jobs just for being communists. So yeah, they're very different. But that's where that distinction is kind of needed.
Well, I don't know. So you're only socialist. No, so this is Connor's position. You're only socialist if you're able to institute a communist utopia.
No.
Here's an easy. Can I ask an easy? This is easy.
Everybody else has been screaming. I'm going to scream too. You're retarded.
Didn't Destiny call Dems socialist? No, I'm pretty sure Stephen thinks that they're not socialists. He thinks that you're only a socialist if you actually want to abolish capitalism, which I get it on paper. It's definitely like the more logical thing because obviously if you're a political advocate or like a leader, you want to. It's like, is your system that you're going for? Are you aiming for one that is liberal democracy or something else? And that something else would be socialism. So why would you call someone like Attlee, who's compatible with liberal democracy, who never had any intention of going away from a liberal democracy as a society? Why are we calling them socialists? Well, because they call themselves socialists, and also I don't think it's just that. I don't think it's just self-ID. It's also because their policies are driven by socialist principles, by the principle of like there are some questions that the free market cannot answer, and that's where socialization of certain resources and industries and providers needs to be the answer, like healthcare.
Moderator Connor.
The government and the society might save you from yourself, so you might be an inefficacious socialist.
Okay, wait. Can I ask a simple question that maybe this is like I feel like this is what this whole thing is coming down to. Okay, if you were to take 100 people, have them read theory, study history, and then look in a room, okay, and you were to put, we'll say Hasan Piker and then AOC in a room, and you would ask them which one is more of a socialist, what do you think all of those people would say?
I don't know.
I can't even believe. Then this conversation is hopeless. It's such an unbelievable answer to me.
Because to say that is to
because. If I wanted to be difficult, I'd be like, well, yeah, because Hasan's not really talking about socialism. He's just busy talking about making a phone call and then invading Israel. Shit.
To misunderstand the diversity of the socialist movement and contemporary.
I'm not talking about the diversity of the socialist movement. I'm saying that AOC. Hold on. Is it fair for me to say that AOC is a way more outer perimeter socialist than like a bog standard? Then look it up. Look up what outer perimeter means. Okay.
You think there are fundamental differences, and what are the fundamental differences between AOC and something like?
Let's use Stephen's model. Stephen, if you put 100 people in a room and ask them, is Bernie Sanders a socialist? How would they answer? Yes or no?
I honestly don't know.
That's your standard.
You just said 100 people. No, you didn't even ask me the same question. I was comparing two different people, and I said 100 people well-read on theory. Do you want to say 100 well-read people? If you put 100 people who are well-read on socialist theory, you ask them, is Bernie Sanders a socialist? Well, zero of them would say yes. No, absolutely. You're so fucking retarded. No, he's a liberal and he supports capitalism. Definitionally, in every single way, he is not a bog standard socialist. If you want to say he's like an outer perimeter, dem suck, maybe, sure, but like a socialist?
Dem what?
No.
Dem what? What does suck stand for? Dem what?
So outer perimeter. What does outer perimeter mean? Outer perimeter.
National socialist.
To answer, because the reason that we got off on this topic was because Connor we haven't really taken the bait of Connor's constant conspiracy baiting about like people are basically all just secret hankies that are socialists, right? But I think that it's important to address.
No, I think you guys are useful idiots. I think there's
so Connor, you actually completely conceded that you had a complete incomplete understanding of socialist history. You asked a question that I wasn't able to answer.
Absolutely not. You said, hold on. You asked me a question, so I'm going to answer it.
I didn't ask you a question.
What are you talking about? Yeah, you said, are you going to concede that you have a complete?
No, I said you conceded. It wasn't a question.
No, I don't concede at all. You brought
that wasn't a question. Just to be clear.
You mentioned Western socialists who were under the control of Western governments.
So just to be clear, when the Western government is controlled by socialists, it's a socialist government. That's how elections work. Okay, you take power, and you take power.
American government.
Stop, Econoboy. If today we replace Trump, if we replace Trump with pick a socialist that you think is a good socialist, would the American, just because now our president identifies as a socialist, does that make America a socialist country now?
So I'm not saying that these countries.
I'm asking you a question. Yes or no?
I'm literally answering directly your question. Like you gave me like one word before you interrupted me. Okay.
There's no answer in it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Destiny, I haven't been the one interrupting you for the most part. So
you're giving cover to the guy who is, which is kind of what this whole convo is about. I'm just kidding. Go.
I want to hear the answer to the question.
I'm not saying that these countries became socialist because they had socialist governments. I'm saying they had socialist governments for many points of time in their history. Okay. Now, Connor. No, I'll just
question because hold on. I got you for a question now. Again, if we simply take Trump out and put a socialist in, is America run by a socialist government now?
Obviously not.
Oh, yeah, wait. It's run by a socialist government. Can be a reference to the party in power. So, for example, like Clement Attlee was he's a socialist government in the sense that they're in charge.
So is Zoltan Ramaswamy is New York City?
What did he call him? Zoltan. He means Zohran Mandani, right? Okay.
Nice racist mayor. Mayor now?
Nice racist. No. When you ask the question, is the government of the day socialist? If he said,
who's playing semantics now? Holy shit!
Wait. Can we just? Why don't we just rant?
Oh, you're about to get owned again, so you're running.
Wait. So I'm trying to clarify terminology, and you don't want to do that. So like, when people refer to the government, meaning the people in charge of the government, it's a socialist government, doesn't necessarily mean that the structure itself is socialist. But I'm just telling you why there's different meanings of the word government.
The reason why I bring up all of the dozens and dozens and dozens of different labor governments and social democratic and fundamentally socialist governments that have existed in all of these different countries and Europe and Oceania and a lot of Latin American countries as well is because at the same time that Connor says socialism is like essentially fundamentally in some conspiratorial sense an authoritarian ideology with authoritarian ideals that will do authoritarianism and kill millions of people. Concurrently to the very same things that Connor was describing, you had socialist governments take power through democratic elections, convincing people to vote for them, running on socialist platforms, being in charge of the militaries,
moderated by the monarchy.
Hey, Connor, when you're in charge,
finish, please. Yeah.
Can I finish the point? We've been trying for 20 fucking minutes. Okay, so when the socialist government is now in charge of the police apparatus and the military and all of that stuff, when they lose the next election, what did they do across all of these different countries? They left power and there was a turnover in government. So your idea that basically every socialist movement is stamped with the authoritarianism of Mao is completely ahistorical.
Wait, would you consider Trump an authoritarian, even though he gave up power and will probably give up power at the end of this admin? Maybe.
Yes, he's authoritarian, and we have right now the U.S. government is like authoritarian in stature. Yes.
Sure. Okay. So I just as a quick thing, it feels a little silly to say like we were talking about socialist countries, but now we switch to socialist governments, and then it's like you open up and look inside and it's just liberalism, capitalism, right?
Socialist government.
Okay, well, I think that was probably what Connor's impression was, and that's what. Wait, but okay, hold on. Also, wait, but you talked about like what socialism is, and you made it sound like this spooky thing of authoritarianism and all this. Would you concede that like a central tenet of socialism?
Oh God! Oh shit! God, I don't even know. This is such a stupid semantic fucking cock debate. But like, okay, if let's say you're in the USSR, okay, and there's one candidate who comes along, okay, one little dude, and he's like, "Listen, guys, I got this idea. I think we should privatize grocery stores. We should just the food, just privatize it, make it into a market, leave everything else, whatever. Is that person a capitalist or a communist? Or let's say they say let's privatize, let's leave everything kind of as is, but let's privatize like oil and gas and fucking like food. Yeah, it's just, I think that's kind of the thing that Econoboy is maybe trying to communicate, that there are people who can advocate for socialization of different areas of society without wanting to go the full hog. And are they a socialist or a liberal? And just pretty straightforward.
Is the overthrow of the capital class, oftentimes via violent revolution. That is like a central tenet of socialism. No, that's not oftentimes. Like ideologically, definitionally, like in capitalism, you have private ownership where individuals can own firms and hire employees and scrape whatever excess.
So similar, I'll answer your question directly. Okay, so I would compare the question that you just asked, similar to the development and emergence of liberalism. Liberalism developed and emerged across the planet, across different stages of development, across different points in time, and it did so in sometimes very violent ways, and in sometimes through legislative reform. And so similar, you say, hey, and I was just going to say, you say, hey, an ideal of socialism is the abolition of private property. To which I would say, generally speaking, certainly that's a core tenet of almost every socialist thinker across the history of socialism. But that is not a statement on the method by which we get to that final end state. The method is up for debate, and it has been debated, and many different methods.
In what world? Okay, sure. So just following this like very briefly, in what world is there ever a peaceful revolution where all of capital is abolished?
So, what are you talking about? There's. You can imagine. Could you conceive of a world? Let me just ask you this. Could you conceive of a world where the means of production are entirely collectively owned? Could you conceive of that?
I could conceive of that. Yes.
Okay, so and people have said worker cooperatives, national industry, things like that. So we know that things like worker cooperatives and things like national industries and things like state services do exist, and we know that they've come into existence. They've come into being with democratic frameworks and liberal democratic sort of processes.
Sure. So far, none of this is responsive to what I asked. So I'm saying, how would we abolish all private property without violence?
So what I would say is that we would in this theory, we could abolish private property through the same exact means by which we've socialized property in the currently existing world, through the ballot box, through democratic initiative.
Okay,
do you agree it's logically possible?
This isn't a debate on veganism. We're not talking about what's logically possible. It's not relevant to the conversation.
Why don't you just grant it? Why don't you just grant it?
Because I'm not going to yes or no. The issue with saying that we've socialized.
It's another. The way we did it in the UK with healthcare was you had private healthcare providers and you had some charities that mostly ran out of fashion very quickly. But the NHS was built alongside that. You still had private healthcare providers just alongside the NHS. And obviously most people choose the NHS because they don't want to pay a shit ton of money for healthcare. But that's a different kind of movement from capitalism to socialism that doesn't involve like expropriating, because like how would you do that with landlords, and especially in a country where isn't the majority of Americans are homeowners? Isn't it like 60% odd? That's a lot of people are homeowners. So, and not to mention all the businesses. There are ways that people try to get around this, which is that like people like Jeremy Corbyn have argued that when you have a business that is going into administration, or they require some kind of like government assistance, then the policy that he wanted to put in was that if a certain company, a private business, had to require some level of government input financially or whatever else, then they would have to give the workers an opportunity, like an option to buy the company with state funding. So basically, like say like a fucking retailer needs a bailout, and the government's like, yeah, we'll bail you out, but you also, if you want to get bailed out, you have to ask the workers if they want to take over the company themselves because you've failed it, basically. That's the gist. And that's the way that they would do like a transfer of property in like a more amicable way. Or they just argue for something like, let's just let the government fund co-ops, and because they're so awesome, they'll just outcompete the private sector anyway. You know, these are some answers that you could give for doing it. But again, when you're in a country where so many people own businesses and property, then it's just that whole thing. It's like, you can still want more. Do you stop being a socialist if your answer is just to be like I think there should be more worker co-ops. I think they're a good idea. And people seem to be quite happy when they work there. It should be like, if you're going to get a job that's fairly entry level, like low skill, then I think you should have the option available generally to have a co-op as well as a private business, because you might just prefer to work in that environment. I think it'd just be a good thing for society. But if I just want there to be like a higher ratio of co-ops to private businesses, does that mean am I a socialist now? I don't really care if the ratio goes above 51%, but does it have to be 51 plus for you to be a socialist? Yeah, that's a harder question.
To my understanding, As a self-ascribed social democrat myself, social democrats and more hardline leftists like MLs and whatnot have almost always been at odds with each other. If Connor knows.
No, he should know that, but I think Americans just haven't gone through the same socialist versus communist thing that we did with every European country, right? Because the Democratic Party is like a liberal party. And in the UK, I think what separated the Labour Party from the Liberals, it wasn't just that they were ideologically, they preferred nationalisation and government intervention in the economy. It's also because of their funding. The Labour Party, I think about half of their funding comes from unions to this day. They're trade union funded, they're worker funded. So that's like the difference between a Labour Party and, like a liberal party, you might say. But yeah, Americans are just, they don't have the environment where they don't have the vocabulary to deal with these distinctions. So it's cringe. What can I say?
Some things is we're not doing that because we want socialism. We're doing that because we recognize it as a failure of capitalism to succeed in some particular area. But if you want to move to a fully socialist state of affairs, it seems like that would necessitate, according to what almost all socialists will tell you in good faith, will require some form of violence, right? Because what do they say constantly? Cut a liberal and a fascist bleeds. When the revolution comes, liberals will side with fascists. These are statements that almost every single socialist I've seen, everybody in the media, almost all socialists will say this, right? So in that case, doesn't having the socialist concept in mind necessitate some future revolution?
Violence. Maybe why don't you make the case that it entails violence?
I literally just did. Capital owners will never give up willingly their property, meaning they will always fight violently to defend it. This is why socialists say things like the institution of policing exists only to defend capital interests. I can walk you through Babby's first day of social theory. I can do it if you really want me to, but I think a kind of boy should have an answer prepared for this.
So if what you mean is violence is entailed by the use of the police force, if that's what you mean by violence, and enforcing these restrictions would require like enforcement, then I guess it would entail violence. But that's not the violence that you're talking about. You're equivocating violence. What you mean by violence?
You don't understand. When I say the police is a violent institution, you don't know what that means.
Would you agree?
When I say the police is a violent institution, what do you say that?
Stephen, wait, this is not
I don't want to mute, but
you're such a bitch.
Destiny did ask a question. I do want that question answered. Please go. He asked you, do you understand what he means when he says, well, repeat your question.
When socialists view police as a violent institution, what do they mean when they say that?
I think that socialists, I think that socialists and libertarians oftentimes believe that it entails violence because they're enacting violence. But because
okay, I'm so sorry. I'm not. It doesn't matter. You're incorrect.
Wait, Steven. So I'm just gonna ask you a question. Does capitalism require violence?
I don't know. I'm not confident.
Does it require violence?
Good definition.
Does it require violence? Wait, does it require violence? Yes or no?
Not necessarily. No. No. What do you mean by violence? No, it doesn't. No.
I'll have you find my inner sociologist will definitely say that the police and the institutions of capitalism absolutely need to be protected from revolution by defending the private property owners. This mug requires violence, okay? Because only with the state and its monopoly over the means of violence could ever institute such a coercive division of labor that would produce such a piece of shit. It's IKEA, isn't it? Yeah. Actually, maybe not. Maybe this is a socialist mug. I don't know. I know, like, I don't know if it's the same in every Scandinavian country, but I think in Denmark, they get really fucking angry when Americans describe their shit as socialist. But that might also be, maybe not for Denmark, but for Finland, it's because of Soviet stuff that they don't like being called socialist. Because of their history with the Soviet Union. I don't know why Denmark would care.
Wait, doesn't property requires violence?
Law enforcement is necessarily
no, not necessarily. What do you mean? I don't know. You're asking the most simple question in the world. Is me owning a Red Bull, does that require violence? Not necessarily. But if you're saying we're going to call the cops to somebody
just relax. Does the widespread establishment of a capitalist system in America require violence?
Violence. Define violence. What do you mean by violence?
Violence meaning the use of force to defend property rights.
Am I muted? Yes, you have to defend private property.
So you agree with Connor? You agree with Connor, don't you, Stephen?
Not really. It's like this is such like a naive conversation.
So you don't agree with Connor?
Let me know when I can talk for 30 seconds. I can explain because this is like a
why he doesn't want to agree with you? He doesn't want to agree with you because he thinks that you're making them morally equivalent. And the
no, wait. It's not.
Hold on. It's not the same violence that's required in order to fucking
everyone is doing this thing.
Everyone.
Okay, everyone's doing this thing where they're trying to tell like everyone else what they're saying. Like Connor's place. Well, Destiny's saying this, and then Destiny will be
true.
saying.
Although actually, I will say Connor was correct though. They're like those are different types of violence. So for instance, when you talk about does capitalism necessitate violence, and then you want me to say yes to that, well, that's the same type of violence that any country, socialists included, would necessitate, which is the ability to enforce laws or whatever. But that's different. But that's different than a violence that is necessitated ideologically to prevent things like, say, free enterprise or private corporations, which is a type of violence that socialism would necessitate, but capitalism wouldn't necessitate. That's what I'm saying. What kind of violence do you mean? That's
why is it interesting? So why is it interesting?
No. So please go 1 second. So Destiny. So I disagree that there's a distinction in the type of violence that we're talking about here. So for instance, what I mean by that is that insofar
you would.
Base.
Okay, so
it's a panel. If you don't want to throw elbows on a panel, don't join a panel.
You're a vandal that you were brought on to fucking muddy the water. That's why you're here.
For a little bit.
No, I'm not. I've been
Hold on, no, it's not. Counterpoints was brought on because the guy I asked initially declined.
I thought I had a good point.
So counterpoints is here to kind of balance the scales.
Fuck you too, Rick, for saying that I'm your second date. Jesus.
That's true.
Okay, I still love it.
Anyway, so I don't think it's different destiny, okay? Because, for instance, if you were to say, hey, like necessarily if you were to achieve the socialist ideal, that requires violence. Insofar as what we're talking about is a reestablishment of what property rights means, right? So, for instance, we were to say, like, oh, we did a convoy with socialism characteristics, we got 90% of the way here, and now the socialists are in power, and they're going to go the full 100. They're going to say, hey, everything that's currently privately owned has to be sold to.
Hold on, you're playing.
Rest of the
wait, but you just got.
I feel like I didn't even get to.
No, because hold on, because you just skipped all the hard part. If you're going to tell me that how do we go from 90% public ownership to 100% public ownership, that's not very hard to do. You have a majority stake in every single company in the entire country. The question is, how do you get to 90% without expropriation?
Okay, so you get to, okay, first of all, I'll just say this briefly. If that's the harder part, then it's surprisingly achievable. Norway has literally already socialized 2/3 of their nation's wealth. They already have collectivized 2/3
what about
of
their firms?
Wealth. Now,
wealth is not. Wait. Wealth is. Why did you say that? I can tell if you're being intentional now. Hold on. Wait. Socializing wealth. My question very specifically was, how do you do it without expropriation? To have 90% owned firms. No, but you talked about wealth. I'm not talking about wealth. I'm talking about firms.
The reason why so a lot of the firms in Norway are still privately owned because Norway doesn't have as developed a capital market as the United States. So shockingly,
how much of that Norway 2/3 of the wealth? How much of that is a sovereign wealth fund from the oil? Obviously, I think if you're economics, if you're capitalism, socialism, the idea would be who owns the capital, right? The means of production, which isn't necessarily the same as the wealth. If the wealth is a product of private ownership, it's just redistributed. I don't know shit about fucking money. Stupid waste of time.
If the United States had Nordic institutions for collectivizing wealth, we would be much more able to socialize our domestic economy than those economies, because a lot of the companies in production in those societies aren't traded on liquid stock markets. Now,
hold on, wait. For Norway, I'm just asking for Norway. If you said of the 90% of the wealth that's publicly owned, how much of that is just tied to their oil?
2/3.
Okay, so wait. What you just said was a total lie, right?
I want to answer your question.
Who the fuck cares? Because controlling 90% of a broad market that's invested across a whole separation of multitudes of industries is way different than just socializing your means of energy production.
No, that's not what Norway. You have a misunderstanding of how these institutions work, and you have such strong opinions on them, and it really it pisses me off at a certain point.
Okay.
You don't know what you're talking about, but you have these very strong opinions. Norway, yes, a lot of the wealth that they've accumulated doesn't necessarily come from their oil wealth. It comes from the returns to their oil wealth being socialized in a public fashion. Okay, so I would agree that one of the prerequisites to Norway's specific success is its oil wealth. But America is a resource-rich country. America has a huge amount of land rents that we could socialize. America has things like a central bank that can create money, debt financing, other tax revenue. The financing for this is just not a question. America is a richer society than Norway.
The financing is not hard, Econo Boy. That's why I'm asking about expropriation. The United States government could. I'm not retarded. You know I'm not retarded. They could print off however much money they want to buy things.
That's why I'm saying we could get to 90% without expropriation, because we have such liquid markets where people are willing to sell their shares for essentially the strike price. And really quick though,
finish your point, but then I want to get us back on track.
To America.
We're getting bogged down. Essentially, my main point, skipping past all of that, is that Destiny made the claim that it necessitates violence. Now, insofar as going from whatever percentage of voluntary transactions we could get up to, 60, 70, 80, 90%, whatever, and then we have to go to the rest of the way with some amount of expropriation. Yeah, you'd have to pass a bill and reestablish some property rights, and you'd have to buy out those businesses.
This is such a weasel. Reestablish some property rights. You'd have to steal companies from private owners.
I can't make the point.
No, because you're speaking in like the most you'd have to reestablish some property rights. You'd have to steal all the firms from all the private owners.
Wick said he wanted to do another debate about this specific.
Yeah, we can make a one-on-one or something.
So the question,
just real quick. For now,
can you simplify? Fuck, where's Econo Boy? Couldn't you just simplify this and be like, okay, if you want to nationalize like an industry or turn it over to the workers, co-ops or state-owned, whatever. But it would entail are you willing to expropriate property and capital, not just tax wealth or sovereign wealth fund or whatever the fuck? Or are you willing to expropriate, say like landlords or businesses, or do you have another way of like turning them over to the workers that's not as mean? That it violent? Because I don't know how you're expropriating property and capital to that extent. I know occasionally like states do fucking compulsory purchase and shit like that, but there comes a point where people are very attached to their property and their businesses. That's just like a sweeping policy rather than, and if it's for socialism in the United States, People say like the government seizes property and capital like all the time. I'm like, do they really do this that often? Do they really do like? It's not just
Right,
fuck. I understand my terms.
You're getting chained to the radiator. 24/7 streams for the next 30 days. Then we'll think about bathroom breaks.
Thanks for the 19.99. Appreciate it. Appreciate the shit out of it. Eminent domain. Is that it? Is that when the government's just like, yeah, we need this to build a highway? Fuck you. Get out of the fucking Wendy house that your grandfather built in 1905. And then the grandmother is like dragged out screaming and dies on the way. Okay. I think in the UK we call it compulsory purchase. Trump did it for his wall. How often does the government seize businesses that haven't committed any crimes or anything, but just because they're like, we want to run this business in a different way? Uh-oh. It's hog o'clock.
Will not do that to you. Israel is our biggest ally. An ally will not do that to you. An ally will not steal your nuclear weapons, will not blackmail your presidents with whatever files they have, with sexual files in order to release a spy, will not blackmail your politicians with a fucking Love Island with young girls. It's crazy.
Okay, incredibly based. Okay. This guy was like such a face of the fucking pro-Palestine shit to begin with. It's fucking mental. Oh God. Bro, you're a Jew hater. This guy's a big fucking Jew hater. Shit. Fuck, I wish I could get more polling data. I hear very mixed opinions about how normal it is to believe that shit in the Arab world. Like, some people say it's just like a normal thing for like, especially boomer dads, like, to tell people, but otherwise, I don't know. Do you think the blackmail stuff is true? No. What with sex tapes? You think the Mossad are filming presidents shagging and then using them for fucking military aid? No, Israel gets help from the United States because they're a big fucking tech economy in a very strategic position in the Middle East who have the same enemies as the United States. And that's kind of it. It's not that complicated. YOLO swag, thanks for the $4.99. I'm gonna do donos now because there's quite a lot. Hello streamer, tell me what I want to hear. Wow. Dwayne, thanks for $5. If you have not gotten your chair yet, add this to the chair fund. If you have, add this to the likable streamer fund. I'm a very likable streamer. Yeah, that's why I've got so many friends in the space. Floor, thanks for the tier 1 sub. Ready to learn? True. Wow. Melinda, thanks for the $10. How dare you leave us and go touch grass, but welcome back. Man, going to the gym more regularly actually just makes me in such a better mood. I forgot how valuable that is. Like shit. Jack, thanks for the tier 1 sub. And Steph Shadow, thanks for the tier 1 sub. Fast and Bulbous, thanks for the tier 1 sub. How's the lumbar support? It's fine. It's fine. I still need to, I haven't customized it like fully, but it's managing. Yeah, it's much better than my last one. I'm not in so much pain anymore. Barabbas, thanks for the $5. I think at this point it's safe to say that Trump knew what Epstein was up to the whole time. Yeah, probably. It's probably not really getting away from that one. Yeah. There is something to be said about how in denial people might be because it suits them. Like Louis Theroux, looking back at the filmed footage that he had with Jimmy Savile, yeah, you should have known. But at the time, he's just thinking, this is so good for my career. Like, what's that he's doing over there? No. This is so good for my career. That's probably, yeah, I think most people would be like that. So I don't know. Ref Top, thanks for the $1.99. Oh, thanks for the $9.99. I have a Boxoid live viewer. I've been a Boxoid viewer for a while. Never watched the main channel. Got around to it during your re-education. They are pretty good. Who would have thought? Thanks for all the content. Yeah, I thought my video essays were all right. Yeah. Jack-O-Lantern, thanks for the tier 2 sub. Shivam Rai, thanks for the $4.99. Hey, Loner, have you seen the latest Trigonometry podcast on Israel-Palestine? I think you'd find it really interesting. What am I going to be like? Wow, damn, the Muslims, they're fucked up. The Jews, they're doing God's work. Thank you. Very interesting. Alita, thanks for the $4.99. Lornerbox, he did not get banned for this clip. It was for a derogatory term towards black people. What, Mike from PA? Okay. Thanks for the tier 3 sub as well. Sorry, Hasan, we're all introverts and don't believe in phone calls. Your ideal plan is flawed. Yeah, good one. Lawson, thanks for the $5. Firearm ownership rates would probably be a factor to consider. Is something around 1 Democrat or left wing to 5 to 8 conservative or right winger? Oh yeah. Oh. Mantis, thanks for the 400. Are those rupees? Mantis God. How did you choose the name Lonerbox? Sorry, newbie here. That's the name. Names don't mean shit. T, thanks for the 4.99. Happy to see you back, Loner. Diogenes XLP, thanks for the 10 euros. The thing that blackpilled in this conflict was those CCTV videos of Hamas militants taking hostages into hospitals. Oh, yeah, I already read that one. Sorry about TTS. Think you're getting it twice? Fuck that. Chaotic Bread, thanks for the tier 1 sub. Dense Pixel, thanks for the $5. Marcus 2.0, thanks for the tier 3 sub. Chaotic Bread, thanks for the other $5. Sorry, I'm back behind in the VOD. You said mountains, but didn't play the soundboard for it. Oh, no. Yeah, maybe I should. I need to be more sharp. I need an actual soundboard because the Discord thing, like clicking it, is not very, it's not ideal, you know? Could be better. Dwayne, thanks for the $5. And Arman, thanks for the $4.99. Contributing to the goal of the lonely box fuel as ascendancy. Wow, true. Dingus, thanks for the 2 1999 donations. It's very generous of you. God. I still watch The Gnome from time to time because although I am further left than him, liberalism in America is under siege. I find a lot of both of your guys' arguments useful. Wow. Evangeline, thanks for the $20. Loner, I'm being sincere. Is this mess taking a toll on your mental health? Take care of yourself. Don't ask questions about my... What the fuck? It's fine. Don't worry. Lawson, thanks for $10. XLP, thanks for the 5 euros. Caleb, thanks for the $4.99. Meme, thanks for the $4.99. Lewis, thanks for the $1.99. Jay, thanks for the $5. I'm sorry, I'm not reading all these messages. There's too many. Joshua, thanks for the $2. Lewis, thanks for the $1.99. Caleb, thanks for the $1.99. Dilute Mule, thanks for the $7.77. Will Game, thanks for the tier 1 sub. Will Kane, thanks for the 10 Hong Kong dollars. Consciousness, thanks for the tier 1 sub. Barbas, thanks for the $5. Glitterbell, thanks for the $5. Caleb, thanks for the $1.99. Lawson, thanks for the $5. Doom, thanks for the tier 1 sub. Captain Dan, thanks for the $5. Joshua Jones, thanks for $2. Ew, thanks for the $9.99. Russian person or Cyrillic name. Sorry, I shouldn't say Russian. You could be from anywhere. Can we please watch this full sketch I can link? I don't know what sketch you're talking about. What sketch? Huh? All right. The Lemmy one, maybe. Barbas, thanks for $5. Sluggish schizophrenia. Oh, that's what Soviets called people when they were re-educating them. Calmly Fret, thanks for the $4.99. Lawyers, binary question in depositions and cross-examinations. Binary questions control the witness so they can establish the desired factual record. I suppose so, yeah. Fumbongo, thanks for the $5. What about re-education Minecraft servers? Welcome back, Loner. Lexar, thanks for the $5. Accountability, yes or no? Good one. Yes, I'll probably read Econoboy's Substack. Thanks for the tier 1 sub, John T. Carrot, for 26 months now. That's so generous of you, God. Charboard, thanks for the $6.99. Do you wear 9-inch insoles? No? What the fuck? David Lessa, thanks for the 50 mads. Whatever those are. For Econoboy, socialist with democracy and socialist with Chinese characteristics are the same. It is read as the Soviet. I have no idea what that means or if it's true. I don't think it is, but okay. Will Kane, thanks for 10 Hong Kong dollars. My land is being compulsory purchased for pennies. What, in Hong Kong? Shit. Rip. Deej, thanks for tier 1 sub. And Small Talk with Star, thanks for $2. Riot if Lonerbox leaves us again. That's good advice. Don't do that. I just hate streaming. What can I say?
I have a question maybe to kind of take us on a track that I'm interested in, right?
Wait, Wick, just hold on a second. Why don't we grant that socialism only means what Steven means and what Connor means? So let's put aside the semantic. So if what you mean is by socialists are specifically Marxist-Leninists who wants to do this mass expropriation, then agreed. Then agreed. They shouldn't be in the halls of democratic power. Where's our disagreement?
Okay. No. Hold on. This is another problem between liberals and progressives, and I'll be very calm while I articulate this. My frustration with Econoboy is that expropriation is defined necessarily. Don't fucking touch your nose.
We're moving off of that.
Like how
I'm on your panel, you bitch. I can talk when I fucking feel like it. This isn't the Pisco and Destiny hour, you fucking dickhead. So, the definition of expropriation is the action by the state or an authority of taking property from its owner for public use or benefit. Taxation is necessarily, definitionally, expropriation. So what we're saying is that, or at least what I'm saying, is that I believe a fucking free market needs to have a balance between the expropriation of property for the public good and the private market allowed to do its own thing. A private market is necessary to generate the wealth in order to create a welfare state. So if Econoboy is saying, well, we can just go ahead and command slowly through the government voting in, increasing control over public utilities and the parts of the market, then I don't care if it's done democratically. I don't give a fuck.
Okay,
fuck that. I'm going to vote against you, and you're not part of my team.
Okay, nice take. If what you mean by socialism is only those people who espouse these Marxist-Leninist ideas that you find to be odious.
Nope. I've defined it for you 7 times.
Hold on, let Pisco finish.
Democracy. You can get it through democracy. That doesn't make it good.
Pisco finish. Pisco finish, and then I have a question.
Let's get through the semantic bullshit. If what you mean is that...
It's not semantic. I've given you a specific definition 7 times.
Counterpoints? You got to let him at least finish a sentence.
Then he needs to listen to what I'm saying and represent it.
If he's not listening to what you're saying, it will be apparent in what he says.
Yeah.
Represent it accurately.
So we have a semantic difference. I'm trying to chart that out. Like,
no, we don't.
We literally do. When I say semantic difference...
So you disagree that socialism is a decommodification of basic human needs and workers owning the means of production?
Yep. So I think socialism means much. Wait. I think socialism means much more than that because for me, use is meaning.
That's
right?
a good. Hold on.
Holy
That's
shit,
actually excellent point. Pisco, what do you mean when you say socialism?
So I think when I think socialism. When I think socialism at its broadest, I understand socialism to be workers owning the means of production. That's at its broadest. I think that there's a lot of shades of gray there, and socialism doesn't just mean what Connor means. And the reason that is, I think that meaning, right, that of a word is its use, right? Like if what we mean by a word is there's no like correct objective answer to what socialism means. My theory of like what words mean is how they're used by people in the real day. There's multiple definitions. But if
then
what you
Destiny is right, that AOC, Bernie Sanders, and Zodan Salami are not socialists because they don't believe in workers owning.
Zodan Mazarami. Good. Brilliant.
The means of production.
When you say Destiny is quote unquote right, what do you mean by that?
I just said it.
He's right according to his own definition and your definition.
AOC, Bernie Sanders, and Zoltan Manslami don't fucking advocate.
There's no way. Like, how is he?
For workers owning the means of production. So by the definition that you just provided for us, they are not socialists.
So I said at its broadest, it's workers owning the means of production, but means of production.
What does broadest mean?
Broadest means it includes the most amount of people. So if you're broadest,
Connor, shut the fuck up. What I'm trying to chart out.
Make your words make sense.
I'm trying to chart out a semantic difference. Do you understand what I mean when I say a semantic difference?
Having to do with words
and their meaning. Okay, so in your version of the word socialism, you would not ascribe, for example, single payer to be a socialist policy. You wouldn't say that someone like Bernie Sanders is a socialist. You wouldn't say that China as it currently exists is a socialist country because your definition of socialism is much more narrow. I say let's get past that semantic difference. I think like in terms of how people use the word socialist, you guys are just wrong in terms of the usage of the word, but let's get past that. If what you mean, why?
I will not get past that.
We just spent this whole time arguing about what the right definition of socialism is.
You both are going to circle the drain. Hold on, stop. We are going to get to a more, I think,
disagreement. So you're using it. I think that you guys have a proprietary definition. I think you guys have a proprietary definition of the word socialist. That isn't how people use the word, and it's not charted in.
Before we move on, I want to articulate why this is important. I think that you, in a Econo Boy, I'll be rude, even though I love you. I think you are useful cock sleeves for tankies, and so you're trying to expand. You're trying to expand the definition of socialism.
Wait, is that where Anna got the thing from? That's where Anna got the tweet from. Cock sleeves. Is that what Econoboy and Pisco, are they cock sleeves for? I haven't what are the clips or the videos that actually demonstrate this better than, because I don't know. Surely it's not just the Vanguard thing, right? Like why are they tanky cock sleeves? This debate's not revealing shit to me. Apart from there's a lot of scrapping over what the fuck a socialist is. Watch the Hutch debate. Hutch debating who? Who's Hutch debating? Where's the Anna tweet? I saw the Anna tweet. I didn't know it came from the Hasan defense. So the Hasan defense was what? Pisco saying that Hasan was viewpoint discriminated or some shit. It gets much debater. Really? Watching this was made more bearable simply due to Connor calling these two useful tanky cock sleeves. Thank you, sir. Have my Eastern European gratitude. I didn't expect me laughing at Connor calling these two useful cock sleeves for commies to be read with utmost seriousness, lol, but I do stand by the notion that libs/suck dems playing house with commies is the exact same level of bad as rightoids sweeping for fascists. It's a stale-ass take, by the way, for any normal person. It's wild that it's controversial. If we are for real, though, Pisco is a useful cock sleeve for commies. Is he really? Okay, I haven't seen that yet. Hosting a show with Aaron, is that a useful sleeve for commies? Man, I would just be like, bro, she's a fucking retard. What are you doing with this like cataclysmically stupid person? I'm trying to remember things I know about Aaron's politics that are secondhand from private conversations or are public. Fuck. I know there's some fucking dumb shit in there. There's some crazy shit there. Do I want to do the private? No. No, I'm not. I'm not like Aaron. But man, the thing with Hutch, this should have been enough, right? Fuck me. I'll maybe consult President Sunday on it and see what he thinks. Be like, here, mate, your professional opinion on these Aaron takes. Where is Hutch talking to her? ContraPoints.
Other people maybe.
Isn't Pisco hanging about with Destiny anti-orbiters? Okay. Does that make you a tanky cocksleeve? How? Does hating Destiny make you a tanky? Is this it here?
Force this issue, or you're going to internally destabilize the country, and neither Israelis nor
even pre-October 7th, the two-state solution or whatever were highly
complexities of exploring a two-state solution with the West Bank settle. No, I understand. I understand all the arguments about how a two-state solution is going to be incredibly difficult, especially with the expansion of the settlements in the West Bank. I do understand all that. However, a one-state solution is like, to her point, she laid it out. It's like, you're either going to use military force against a country that has nuclear weapons to force this issue, or you're going to internally destabilize the country, and neither Israelis nor Palestinians want to share a single state. It's the least popular proposal amongst that crowd. And as far as I'm concerned, the conversation should stop there. I don't understand why
when I've brought this up to people, even very, very anti-Israel people, like that Athena person, when I brought that up, she was stumped. She was fucking, because it should really hit you a bit differently when you, if you're not aware of that and you become made aware of it. Why did Zionism? Fuck you, this TikToker. Why are you loading? Why are you stuck on the transcript? Oh, because it's a 4-hour debate. Okay. What is it? Yeah, one-state solution.
And everybody who's not Arab would, of course, have political representation as well.
Okay. Does it bother you that neither side wants this?
I think the Palestinians want it. They have historically always wanted it, to be fair.
One state with equality.
One state with Jewish political representation, yes.
That's not... So the question was one state with equality. Because there are specifically polls that will ask you about, do you want it to be equal or unequal? And more people will say unequal than equal.
I haven't come across such polls from like the Palestinian side.
Okay. I guess we trust PSR for Palestinian polls? Democratic state with equality was the lowest option for both sides. I think Israeli Jews, 20% said they wanted it, and for Palestinians, 23%. But the other two were both by far more popular, 2022.
When was it? 2022?
I don't believe I've ever seen one state with equality ever push higher than like maybe 29-30% in the polls for Palestinians.
Can you send me the link?
Like she's fucking dead. There's nothing. It's 6 minutes into the debate. Yeah, but Aaron's got a way out. Okay, Aaron's got a way out.
And as far as I'm concerned, the conversation should stop there. I don't understand why Western leftists are insisting, as the Vanguard did, that you cannot be a Palestinian advocate if you don't advocate for a one-state solution, when only 18% of Palestinians in Gaza want that outcome. It's fucking absurd. It's ridiculous.
Because it doesn't surprise me that people in the West, in America specifically, when given our own country's history and the way that we've resolved racial tension in this country, it was not to further entrench separate but equal, and let's have black states for black citizens and black Americans and white states for white Americans, and further the divide and try to resolve it that way. It was messy in a lot of ways, but eventually there was integration, but that integration had to come at the end of the gun.
Why is that? But why is integration? Why is a one-state solution?
Integrate them at the head of a gun when who's holding the gun? It's not Palestinians. It's not Israelis. They don't want a one state with democratic equality right now. Who's holding the gun to make them do it? It's so fucking crazy. Do you realize that there's only one way to actually make this happen? Right? Like,
airstrikes.
Like that's it, right?
Airstrikes. Bomb them.
Solution: full right of return, equal rights, everybody. Like, why is that inherently more preferable?
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Well, why is that more preferable to a two-state solution if the vast majority of Palestinians and Israelis prefer that?
Because I think you're assuming that people come to their conclusions based solely or in majority in part of the with the opinion of the Palestinians and Israelis in that area, and I don't think that that's how people form their opinions on this. I think people who call for one single secular democratic binational state where there's equal rights between Israelis and Palestinians,
nobody wants that
for different reasons.
But nobody wants that. Like,
well, no, people in the West want it, but the people in that region don't. But there have been different times in that region where Palestinians wanted to shift the conversation and the demand to one person, one vote.
Listen, I feel like this is another one of these things where
it's changed.
No, I do.
The time she's talking about is like now, when one state with democratic equality and all that is growing in popularity. The problem is that it's still not growing past like anywhere 20-30%. Like compared to two states, no.
I understand that, but I'm just saying, like,
you know
it's
who Edward Said is, right?
No.
He called for a one-state solution in 1992. He was a prominent Palestinian American.
Okay.
Yeah.
He wrote it for the New York Times, and he said it was taken serious.
There's a New York Times article.
The most recent polling that I saw from Gallup from March was 75% of Democrats believe in a two-state solution. So not only is there a pretty broad consensus within the American left here, there's a massive consensus with both Israelis and Palestinians. I quite frankly don't understand the insistence on that outcome as though it's inherently better when this is just not what they're asking for. So. But I don't want to get bogged down.
I know it's not. But pretend like it was feasible. Would you support one state, one secular democratic state, equal rights between these two people?
If it was feasible, like if we could just, I would base my preference on what they're asking for. So if it was feasible, but neither the Israelis or the Palestinians want it, I would be opposed to that. Because, okay, let's just force it, right? It's feasible, but neither of them want it. Okay, boom, you're in a single state solution. What's to stop them from just having elections and deciding democratically to split up into two states at that point? Let's just cut the middleman and not do that.
Worse, with all the social stratification and property issues and the bad blood and the military, what the fuck would happen to the military in this situation? What's to stop them just turning up the war as it is into a civil war? That's it.
And then they would be self-determined, right? Only one of those people are self-determined. Israelis have a state, Palestinians don't have a state.
Well, you can't say that you're for self-determination, but then insist on an outcome that they don't want. Like that's not congruent.
I'm just saying at different points they have wanted that, and I'm just trying to see what you want, and I guess like your opinion on it really comes down to like how popular an opinion is, but I don't form my opinions off of how popular something is or isn't.
The question's on self-determination. Of course it matters what they want, if they want their own country or if they want to share a country with the people they've been fighting with for over 100 years. It's Of course the majority opinion. Why? And why also this like religious attachment to it being one state? Like, I'm sorry, do you want to drop you into fucking Kosovo and advocate why the Yugoslavia should just go back to being one country? Because apparently when we split things up, we don't like that for some reason as Westerners. We don't like that. It's bad. Makes us upset. The fuck? Yeah, Kosovo. I know the Kosovo are Albanian Muslims. Just you can be a minority in Serbia, no problem. Big deal. It's secular one state. So I don't know if she's a tanky. She's just a fucking moron. She's just incredibly dumb. Like, actual fucking imperialist. Just fist them together into one state for reasons, regardless of what they think. Like, what the fuck? Anyway.
To mean nice, redistributive social services.
Sorry.
So I don't like it when you do that, and I disagree with you.
You're here to give cover to Stephen, and that's fine. But I just want to be very clear about what I'm talking about.
Cover has been given. I've argued with you directly.
You're trying to make the conversation. You're trying to make the conversation impossible. You're making the conversation impossible.
I've contended with every single argument that you've given me.
You're making the conversation impossible. Please.
He's going to finish. He's going to finish his point. He's going to ask his question, and then we're going to see if it goes anywhere, and if it doesn't, I have productive ways we can go. But counterpoints, hold on real quick. Counterpoints, if you can't control yourself, you will be controlled. Okay? I will mute you. Please go ahead.
This was a panel.
So it is a panel, but I will mute you.
When I'm talking about the meaning of a word, I'm really just asking what the ordinary usage of the word is. Like in terms of what the definition ought to be. If there's any ought to what a word is, it's like, well, how do people use the word, right? So that's what I take to be a semantic difference. And you saying you have a vision of the usage of that word, socialist, which is much more narrow than my conception of how that word is used by ordinary people. But we can put aside that, right? Like, let's put aside the semantic difference about what words ought to mean or what they actually are in any objective sense, and let's just get to the meat of it. If what you mean by socialist doesn't include AOC, doesn't include Bernie and their policies, doesn't include what I think most people would take to be socialist policies, and it only includes people like Marxists, Leninists, and Maoists, then yeah, then what's the disagreement?
Okay, there's a disagreement. You asked a question, I'm going to answer it. I feel Like, I am using a narrow and tailored definition because I think that the people who self-identify as that and actually have read the texts related to the ideology, that's
read the texts related to the ideology. What does that mean? The sacred texts. Who talks like that? I feel like someone who's am I overthinking? I feel like someone who talks like that hasn't. That's how you talk if you haven't read the whatever. So I think Pisco does agree that people who are considered like the anti-liberal socialists, the Marxist-Leninists and all that, should be treated as enemies, like excised from Democratic Party. I guess they just disagree on who fits that category. Is that more what they should be talking about? They should be going into who actually belongs in that box and who doesn't? Box. That's probably a better question. And then they can disagree on, I guess, what like Hasan, Aaron, Vanguard.
How they self-identify. And I think that they are using progressives and liberals and social democrats, and they're conflating these terms back and forth so they can expand at which point they are relevant in the modern social parlance. And I believe that you and Econoboy are helping them, and I don't like it, which is why I'm here to tell you I don't like it.
Connor just keeps, Connor, you keep doing this. You keep just asserting that there's some sort of conspiracy broadly within people who identify as socialists to try and sort of co-opt liberal frameworks. And when I point out the
you said that 5
millionth time, so I haven't just said that because I was about to finish the point. I haven't just said that 5 times. I've included an explanation of the history of a huge range of different democratic, liberal, socialist movements over time that weren't just pretending until they got power and then they would become authoritarian Maoists. In fact, they were just Democrats, it turned out. And you keep ignoring that and then reasserting without any backing your conspiracy about the broad 10% of the base of the Democratic Party socialist movement.
Stop, Boy. The problem here, right, is that they say that they're doing this. That there is a broad number of American socialist people,
a very small minority of them say that.
Again, who state that they are doing this. They call themselves the Vanguard. Why do you think they call themselves the Vanguard? Why do you think they chose that name?
Every single person on this panel said, to the extent that there's evidence that people are doing that, they should not be included in the movement.
So you are condemning specifically the Vanguard today.
Wait, hang on. So I want to be clear about it. I haven't heard.
Shut up, Pisco. I'm asking Econoboy. Today, on my show, you are condemning specifically the Vanguard.
What did they say?
I don't know what they said. Reference it.
Okay. So first of all, one clue is in the name, the Vanguard.
No, what did they do? What's the evidence? What did they say?
I'm giving you evidence.
Like with Hasan, there's evidence that he literally says he just wants to co-opt democratic frameworks. Like he's literally said this, right?
So how about the tweet today or yesterday calling Pete a rat, or that he looks like a rat, or that he reminds him of a rat, or whatever?
Is that evidence that he is trying to institute authoritarian communism?
He could just be mean.
What is acceptable evidence that somebody's trying to institute authoritarian communism if they work in the media?
Wait. Statements like Hasan gave, correct?
So they've done shows about ignoring the Constitution and ignoring the Supreme Court, dissolving the Supreme Court.
I haven't seen that. Yeah. So to the extent that they have those beliefs, and to the extent that to the extent that they have those beliefs,
they call themselves the Vanguard for a reason. It's like if I called myself the rapist.
Let me give you what you want. First of all, the rapist, really?
The rapist, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. That's a really annoying thing as well. Like, why the fuck did lefties get to adopt like all of the fucking tanky aesthetics, like US, like hammer and sickle, fucking Stalin, Lenin bust, we're the Vanguard Party, the fucking fist, whatever, like. Oh, but also we're actually just like a regular old pro-democracy. We're not going to violate anyone's human rights, like, or property rights or anything like that, or civil rights. We're just gonna. We just want healthcare, bub. Like, why do you get to? You don't get to do that. That's fucking stop. Central Committee. Yeah, I remember Central Committee being like, he's not a tanky. Fuck off, man.
So if they have the position that we should ignore the Constitution, if they have the position that we should ignore democratic systems and get rid of all that stuff, then no, they should not be part of a quote-unquote coalition. And if what you mean by be part of a coalition is be at the halls of power, design policy, that kind of stuff. If the prescription is don't talk to them, I think that's a different kind of thing, right? I don't think is anyone here saying we shouldn't talk to them?
I'm not describing don't talk to them.
Okay. So to the extent that they have these positions, to the extent that they're crypto about their authoritarianism tendencies, there's no disagreement. They shouldn't be a part of the quote-unquote coalition. If what you mean by that?
Yeah. Okay. You know what? Like, this is what this feels like. This is why it's such a crazy conversation, okay? If you have two groups of friends, and people in one group really likes Chinese food, and the other group really likes Indian food, and you're trying to vote on where to go to eat, okay, every weekend, all right? And you have this new group of people who show up, and they say, I really like wings, and that's the only fucking thing that they ever say about your Chinese food that they like, but you include them in your group of friends who are voting to say, I want to go eat Chinese food because they only show up for the wings, but you know that when they go back to their own group of friends, they say, as soon as we have enough wing voters, we're going to go to the fucking pizza place. That's the issue that we're running into here, is you're pretending like these guys who only like wings are supporting your entire Chinese food weekly outing, when in reality, they're They're just trying to build up enough people, and they've all blatantly said this, so that they have enough people to go to the pizza place next week. That's the issue that is what's happening.
Just to respond to that briefly, okay, and I think I can speak for Pisco on this as well, that my point is that is true with the great minority of people that call themselves socialists.
And I understand all that stuff. No, you're going to say, yes, and you're going to say that of all the voters or whatever. I'm talking about the entire media apparatus. That's why earlier I asked you, can you give me a single person in the media apparatus that identifies as socialist that also supports the Democratic Party?
But then okay, so to address your point extremely directly about the entire socialist, Wick, I was about to answer
one individual.
No, he said that's why I asked you, but I'm addressing his actual point, which was about the media apparatus.
To answer if you can.
I honestly don't know. I don't know. It's probably the case.
Isn't that problematic? If you're now identifying as a socialist, and you get to give a single. No, it's the same question that I asked earlier, and it's central to the point that I just gave right now. I asked you for a single person that says they actually like Chinese food, and all you can give me are people who support $15 minimum wage or wings, who really want to go to the pizza place, which is have the Vanguard Party, which is why they're called the Vanguard, which is why they shit on Chinese food or the Democratic Party over and over and over again, and that's an issue.
If we're talking about media figures who call themselves socialist, in terms of like of them who sims for the Democratic Party, it's certainly not a long list to the extent that I could Google and find names right now for you. But so I would agree with that. And so I've already said, and everyone on this podcast seems to be in agreement, that to the extent that many people, and it is a problem, flatly, it is what you're describing is absolutely a problem. To the extent that people in the media space that do that, do the exact things that you and Connor and Wick have referenced, Pisco and I are in complete agreement. It's not that we just disagree, it's that we are in complete agreement that these are not people who should be part of the inner party, who should be part of strategic discussions, who should be part of the messaging of Democrats. What I have said, and this is my last sentence before I guess Connor wants to go, is that people like this should simply be used as other platforms for Democrats to engage in for the purposes of fundraising, for the purposes of spreading their message. If Democrats want to go on Hasan's show or the Vanguard or Breonna Joy Gray or fucking Kyle and Crystal's show, then they should do that because they should engage in these alternative.
Sure, but you understand that
they aren't part of the inner party.
Sure, but you understand that it undermines the fuck. Wait. You understand that it undermines the fuck out of the Democratic Party if we're saying that all the good things that we support. I call myself a socialist, and I think all the good things that have come to the Democratic Party have come because of socialists. And also, all of the media people that call themselves socialists fucking hate Democrats, and they constantly attack the Democratic Party.
You agree with the Econo Boy?
It's not that simple, bro. I know you really like the yes or no's, but it's not really that simple. It's not that simple.
No, I don't.
So to Destiny's question,
I don't agree with Econo Boy.
So to your question, Destiny, I do fully agree that it is a problem that there is a disconnect between the typical socialist politician and the typical socialist media figure. I do agree that that's a problem. Okay. The only thing that started this entire discourse for the last week was what I said was I just don't think that these alternative media socialist media figures have that much of an effect on electoral outcomes for democratic socialists and for liberals broadly.
He's making all the same arguments he made to me. I think that is probably true right now. It's hard to say because you can't really count people abstaining. It's harder to count that. And especially because the political identities here are so fucked because of how much of this anti-democrat fucking deadweight isn't just from socialism anymore. It's also from like pro-Palestine shit. And you might even be a socialist. You might be a liberal who's gone so like fucking anti-Israel that you would abandon the Democrats over it. So yeah.
Okay.
Wait, I don't know. Can I ask you then? Like, so when you look at like the 40-point drop in say like Dearborn supporting the Democratic candidate, do you really think that none of these alternative media spheres have any influence whatsoever on? Are they just completely irrelevant, or?
I would never say something so stupid as they don't have any influence or that they don't have some determination of the outcome of elections. Okay, I would never say that. When it comes to Dearborn specifically, I think that it is more sensible to say several things. Number one, I would say that generally speaking, it seems like a lot of Muslim immigrants revert to their, not revert, but like there's like a coming to the mean of the average American conservative view over time as they assimilate. You see that with other immigrants groups as well as Muslim Americans. Number two, I think that you see that with Muslim Americans specifically, they are particularly sensitive to the Israel-Palestine issue, and whoever was in government, it blew the fuck up during a Democratic administration, and so there was a lot of reactionary sentiment with that issue in a lot of Muslim communities.
Wait, but the reaction, sure, but two things. One, so you said that it was a problem. I'm not going for gotchas here, okay? I don't give a fuck about gotchas. I know Pisco loves them, but I'm not looking for gotchas. Okay? But the issue is that all of these elections are so close. So if we agree that it is a problem, and then we talk about how I don't think that they reverted. I don't think that they reverted to the mean in one election cycle when it came to voting issues. Okay, I think that if you want to say that they voted because they were super energized by the Israel-Palestine issue, it doesn't make sense to me that they would vote for Jill.
Based to the change in numbers of voters or votes that we lost. Yeah, I saw that. Like it was like I thought it was like 6 million. That Kamala got 6 million less votes than Biden. And obviously it matters. That's not as important as where they are in the swing states. But yeah, like how many? Oh, you're saying they were lost to either third party or not voting, or people who swung conservative. I guess however many those are. How many Dems finally warmed up to Trump in the year 2024? Dearborn voted someone who's pro-Israel. Yeah, because Dearborn voted Republican, didn't they? Did they not? I thought they voted Republican. Did they? Or did they just get higher numbers for Republican? But yeah, the problem with Dearborn is that Muslim communities are generally like not, especially the older voters, are not socialists. Like they're something a little bit different. And I think the Trump campaign did a lot of very fucking cynical electioneering around the campaigns in that area to make it look like Trump would be more of a deliverer on Israel-Palestine. Remember, because for Arabs, it's not just the Levant, right? It's also the Gulf. And who is better at selling themselves to a Gulf Arab than Trump? Trump is a Gulf Arab trapped in a fucking fat white man's body. Like, that's what he is. They also voted crazy man for Jill Stein.
Because if you really cared about that issue, I think that the clear choice, even if you think they don't handle it as well, would have been the Democrat candidate over the Republican candidate. So the fact that there were so many people, but the fact there were so many people in the center left saying, or not center left, so many people in the left-wing media apparatus all saying they're both the same, all protesting the DNC, all protesting all the Democratic candidates. Isn't that a problem?
Why does he keep repeating? Is it a problem? You just heard Econoboys, and I agree. It's a problem. Why did you repeat that?
Well, because if it's a problem, then I don't know if we should be trying to appeal to the socialists, which is the name of this panel, appealing to leftists. We should be trying to court them if they're actively attacking the party, and these elections are already so close, and they're already turning off so many of our voters already. This is just the problem's only gotten worse.
Okay, this is why I wanted to ask the question earlier, because I think this gets to the heart of the matter. It goes us back on track, and this is a question to Peace go first, and it comes directly relevant. What question your side, and then a question on the other side. I will counterpoints. I will get to you. I promise. But I'm
when he behaves himself, when he puts his hand up, you yell at him. When he yells, you yell at him.
You can have it.
I'm
not yelling.
You're not reinforcing good behavior on this panel.
Let me fucking get my point out, okay? Then maybe we can get to something, okay? The question becomes, who should, as a whole, the Democratic Party, the DNC, etc., who should they be aligning themselves more with? People like AOC or people like Josh Shapiro?
Yeah, I don't understand how that is related to what Stephen was just talking about, right? So we agree. So I thought he was
considered a circuit breaker.
I'll answer the question directly. So to answer the question directly, I think that because socialists...
Am I going to have to watch the Pisco Destiny debate to get more insight on this? Because apparently they just loop on this until the very end. That's fine. Let's have a look at the last bit. 15 minutes. Okay.
Viewpoint discrimination is even stricter. It's even... It's fucking communist government.
I think culturally, he's much more likely to be more moderate in terms of the.
And what I would say is that his sense of isolationism, his sense of pro-terrorism, his sense of wanting to backstab the Western world, him hating mixed economy capitalism, I think he would be just as large of a danger or more of a danger than Donald Trump. And I can back that up factually.
Okay.
I mean, Hasan said like 50 times he's a Marxist-Leninist. Like it sounds like openly, outwardly said that.
Hang on a second. Destiny. You acknowledge that I never said he wasn't a Marxist-Leninist.
But that's essentially like the blueprint for what Stalin did. Yes, it's the he's on the program like championing like Lenin's literature and shit, like overthrowing states and shit. Yeah.
Stephen. I never said he wasn't a Marxist-Leninist. And when I was talking, I want to address, because you put a video of it where I was like addressing some people who are following Hasan and getting his clips, basically where they were talking about this re-education camps. And what was told to me is this is an example of Hasan explicitly in favor of re-education camps. I want to be clear about something. I have now seen the clips of Hasan calling himself a Marxist-Leninist. People have brought that to my attention. I asked these people, do you have clips of himself calling himself a Marxist-Leninist? What's the evidence? What's the strongest evidence? At no point, and there's even something where explicitly I said this, did I say Hasan wasn't a Marxist-Leninist? And I just want to repeat for like the 10th time, I do not like Hasan Piker. He doesn't.
If you think he's an ML, what would the significant difference between his administration and Stalin's?
Well, because I do think that Hasan is
or
not.
Lenin, if you want Lenin.
No, Stalin. No, do Stalin. What is he saying?
We'll do Stalin because So I think the key distinctions are. I think that if you take a look at the different personalities, that Stalin seems like a worse overall person, has worse people in his ear. I think that Hasan has some friends who I think are generally like good people like Adam Friedland.
Okay, here's a question. First of all,
let me finish. And Adam Friedland in the cabinet. Wait. I think
be Secretary of Defense. Adam Friedland would not be part of Hasan's fucking communist government.
I think culturally, he's much more likely to be more moderate in terms of the genocidal stuff that Stalin was able to get away with because of the American culture that he's a part of. And so, and I think also, by the way, that in the context, if we're actually putting real constraints on it, I think the military and the police would be much less apt to do abuses under a Hasan Piker administration than they would under.
Here's a question: if Hasan was the president of the United States and he could push a button and say Israel has become a one state right now, that will probably lead to a genocide of the Jews there until the majority of them leave. Do you think that he would push that button?
Wait, push the button to do what? Sorry.
To turn Israel, Palestine into a single state that would probably result in the next 5 years of some genocide or genocidal campaign against the Jews there until all of them basically leave. Do you think Hasan would push that button?
Yes. Would you push the button for Israel's conduct right now? Do you support Israel's conduct right now?
Fuck no.
Okay,
but also this isn't about me. Okay, so hold on. So that means you just said
it's not even. You realize that with Hasan's prescription for Israel-Palestine, not only would more people die because of the number of Jews that would die, more Arabs would die as well because of the amount of fucking batshit. Like, go by his tweet. Go by the fucking tweet. Adam Freeland and Bannon Banada in the cabinet. Yeah, right. Invade Israel militarily. Because again, none of these are getting Israel to concede to everything that you want to. They're never going to pass the fucking Hassan Abi purity test. This is the only option to get what you want from them. If Israel has successfully, if America successfully defeats or even incapacitates or weakens the IDF, what do you think every fucking militant group in that region that has basically puffed their chest about destroying Israel since they've been born, what would they do? You think Hamas would just stand down? You think Hamas in the West Bank or Islamic Jihad would just stand down? You think Iran would just stand down? You think Iraqi militant groups or what's left of Hezbollah would stand down? Or even the Hamas presence in Syria or in the Lebanese camps? You think they would stand down? No. They would take the opportunity and they would go the fuck into Israel and they just October 7th it from every fucking hole until there's no more Israel. And Israel, in their fucking panic, would probably launch every dumb, retarded, nuclear, whatever bomb they have to try and defend themselves, and then a bunch of fucking Arabs would die as well. Like, I wonder if the response is here, actually. Yeah. Guess who knows this? The media knows what no-fly zones entail. We enforced it with NATO forces in Libya. In Ukraine, it would mean nuclear powers fighting. I understand why Ukraine wants it. They're already living through World War III, and the West said that they have their backs, but nuclear holocaust is not worth it. Really. It's worth it with the Jews, though. Fucking Pillock. Jesus. Anyway. Silly. Very, very goofy. 2 minutes 5. 2 hours 5. I'm sorry.
Language is distressing. But just
I don't like the misogynist language. I use bitches and insult also. I also don't like the misogyny. No misogyny, please.
By the way, you guys are sorting out about tone, so you're the last thing. But I love thing. But the question is fundamentally different. The question is, have a problem in theory with you having a non-liberal be part of the show, live and learn. That has to do more with, like, I don't know, your artistic consistency or your title being consistent or something. But the question is fundamentally different. The question is, would it be your preference to kick off people who have that label? Not would we want them to change the label? That's not the question. The question is, should we even let them? And when by let, I don't hear, of course, to Connor's preposterous straw man, mean that like legally take away their right to have legally. Yeah, so he's like,
answer the question. That way he can't accuse me of being a white blood cell because he wouldn't have any fucking evidence for it anyways. Answer his gay little question.
So no one here is talking. First of all, I don't like the heteronormative language. I think it's really interesting.
But I love heteronormativity.
I don't like the heteronormative language.
Heteronormative. That's a joke, right? He's been calling. Didn't he call Connor a bitch? That's a joke. Okay, whatever. It's a joke. Okay.
Which is distressing, but just
I don't like the misogynistic language. I use bitches and insult also. I also don't like the misogyny. No misogyny, please.
By the way, you guys are sorting out about tone, so you're the last people. Just to get a fine point on it.
Hold on, wait. Tone is insofar as tone to a certain person. We wouldn't be complaining if you had a bad tone towards somebody that was your ideological enemy.
In Israel, I take all of those to be content-based restriction, viewpoint discrimination. That would be insidious.
Okay, so you think that somebody outwardly supporting outwardly supporting a terrorist group that's declared as a terrorist group that they shouldn't be allowed to be removed from expedited airport security screening for that?
Yes. So let me ask you a question. Let me ask you the question. So with respect to a driver's license, do you think
I'm not. No, this is not even remotely. You want to talk about like an expedited line to get a driver's license? We can do it. No, because it's a retarded. It's such an unbelievable. No, pivot.
I'm going to ask you the question.
I'm dodging your pivot. That's right.
Well, the debate definitely gets better, doesn't it? They really land on something there, don't they? Fuck. Connor sweeping emote. Is that what this is?
What's different?
I dodged your pivot.
I don't know.
I dodged the pivot.
Wait, Destiny, what's it?
I dodged the pivot. I've already seen this entire conversation. I'm going to say, having a driver's license is a right. Well, it's not really. It's a privilege. It's a privilege. It's like, is it the exact same thing? You're being discriminated. I've seen it. No, we don't need to. You already admitted that you don't think somebody should be able to be kicked off of an expedited security list on an airplane because they talk about killing politicians. That's crazy.
Let's go.
That's all I got on it. I'm good on it. You got it.
You don't have to answer it. I'm just going to put it out there. So this is the question: because of the support for a terrorist organization, should someone be denied a driver's license? Because a driver's license is not a right. It is a privilege. It's purely at the discretion of the state. If it wanted to, can kick you off a driver's license for something trivial, for a parking offense, for anything. Really, there are tons.
Wait, are we comparing a driver's license to skipping the queue for security screening? That's not is it? Losing your driver's license would be like getting a fucking no-fly listed or something. That's probably more 1-to-1. Okay.
Of different restrictions that don't have to be
you know what?
Totally tailored.
Totally tailored. Wait. What does strict scrutiny entail, Pisco?
Yeah. You need a compelling person.
Wait, what would the compelling interest be to deny somebody a driver's license? What would be the compelling reason to deny a driver's license because they support a terrorist group?
I don't have it because I think it's on all fours.
Do you think there might be a compelling reason to deny somebody
expedited? I don't have it because it's on all fours. Yeah, what is it?
The fact that it might make them somebody who's worth screening in the ordinary manner.
IL, thanks for the £5. Might be misremembering, but do you think all comparisons between Israel and Nazis are anti-Semitic, including Reagan's accusation of the Holocaust? I mean, if they do something that's like actually quite similar to what the Nazis did, I'm yet to see Israel do that with their military. If you think that they're similar, you're a fucking idiot. But yeah, unless that, Reagan's accusation of them doing a Holocaust in Beirut, yeah, that's fucking stupid. Yeah, even though what Sharon did was like pretty fucking reckless and horrible. Like it's not. It wasn't Holocaust level. No, the problem is that I wonder how much that was to do with the fact that Menachem Begin was the one abusing the Holocaust all the way throughout that war. He was the one who kept on saying that we're the fucking allies, we're storming Berlin in 1945. Like that was Begin who constantly kept on comparing Arafat to Hitler hiding in the bunker and shit like that. So he kind of did that to himself. I don't know.
Screen people to come back in the United States?
Wait. Hang on a second. So, as a security threat, it is a compelling purpose for global entry. But as a security threat, it's not a compelling purpose for a driver's license. Explain that.
Because I think that there are a lot of people that can have some kind of support for terrorists or whatever that can drive around in a car. I think that the interest on the side of the citizen for having a driver's license driving around just because you have a fucking support or whatever for some terrorist thing doesn't mean they can revoke your driver's license. I don't think that law would be. That law would not be.
Terrorists use cars to kill people. Terrorists use cars to kill people. Islamic terrorists use cars to kill people.
What was the other part of the strict scrutiny analysis that you said?
Islamic terrorists. What about the white terrorists? They're most of the terrorists.
Tailored. Do you think that revoking a driver's license?
This isn't my doing, is it? This is not my doing. This person's not one of my viewers. Pisco is gaped right now. Oh, fuck. I need to stop saying that. It's actually disgusting. It's actually a really bad... It's the thing about it is it just sounds funny, but it's actually... what the imagery is horrible. We should just say shagged. Shagged is better. It's more tried and tested. I should not normalize gaped. Gaped is disgusting. Gaped. I started saying it because I heard Chud Logic. He would keep saying you're raped, and raped, that sounds horrible. So, but gaped just sounds funny. It was that overlapped with the Dean Withers face. Gaped. No, it's not good.
Somebody, it says narrowly tailored. It's not allowing somebody on an expedited security screening list.
Why is it different? Why is it different?
Well, can someone travel?
Because, yeah, exactly. No, you're correct, Wick. To make it more comparable, if you were to talk about banning him from all airline travel, I'd say, well, now hold on. Now we've got, that is not narrowly tailored. Now we're talking about something completely different. If you wanted to compare this to going in an expedited line at a DMV to skip the ordinary background check, then sure, maybe we could talk. If you support terrorists, you don't get the expedited DMV line. But to talk about just having a driver's license and to compare that to the expedited screening list, that is not correct because you're right. For strict screening, it has to be narrowly tailored on a compelling state interest. And I believe that it is narrowly tailored just to kick somebody off of global entry with a compelling state interest, which is the security of our fucking airplane.
Protected speech.
No, it's not. Their speech is not being denied. They're not making their speech illegal. They're not crafting the law against the speech in any way, shape, or form. No, they're not. They're just not having them on the expedited security list, which is not even remotely comparable to having a driver's license, and you fucking know that.
So respect to Muslims, if you had a ban, just to finish this, respect to Muslims who, you would agree, a higher incidence of Islamic terrorism, correct? Muslims?
They might. Yeah, probably. I don't know if that's true or not. Don't white nationalists have more? Don't white nationalists do more terrorism in the United States than fucking Muslims?
Yeah. But specifically, okay. So let's take white nationalists. Do you think it would be acceptable to say white nationalists need not apply for global entry?
Depend if it was like something like, let's say it was like the Proud Boys. I would say probably, yeah, that's probably, yeah.
Fox News said that the images from Gaza looked like they came from Auschwitz. That's because it's a fucking image. Yes, images can look similar even though they're denoting very similar things. Like, it's like, hang on. Yeah, lots of things can look similar, but not actually be that similar to the thing that they're like this, right? Like this. Where's the picture? Like, just because this looks like the fucking Bosnian genocide or like Babin Yar does not mean it is, because if I don't recall correctly, I don't believe there was an instance where 100+ dudes were rounded up, blindfolded and bound, and then 3 seconds after this photo is taken, they're shot in the head and rolled into this hole. You see how the image looks similar? The picture looks kind of similar, but it's not the same thing, right? Fuck.
Yeah, for expedited security screening, probably yeah. I've already admitted that. I've already said that my comments online, and I even joke about it. That if my fucking global entry, I get it. Yeah. It's global.
Of this, we have a different opinion about the right here. I'm not being if I'm just like
you were on a 2-week total vindication lap about that. We were totally right on this issue.
We have a disagreement. So, Stephen, you and I have this disagreement about how much the right should protect, what we're okay with in terms of viewpoint discrimination. None of this is saying that we have to be unhinged with respect to giving Hasan a pass. I have a more protective view of the First Amendment than you do in this specific instance. Why isn't that not an honest disagreement? Why does it have to become I'm being a fucking poster boy for Hasan Piker?
Because an honest disagreement would say I think that maybe you should be able to support or give verbal support over.
Who called him a poster boy for Hasan Piker? Was that a claim that was made? I mean, whatever it is, I know that Stephen or his community, they've said something. They've said something that's made Pisco very fucking angry. Hasan tried to promote Pisco on a stream. I saw that. Yeah, I saw we covered that. But again, you realize Hasan does not give a fuck about Pisco, right? Like, I think Pisco knows that. Pisco's chat was feeding him rage bait. It was Dan. Well, Dan is a very Dan is a lot more bullheaded with this kind of stuff. Pisco's grifting to Hasan and Aaron as a tanky. Pisco's grifting to Hasan and Aaron's a tanky. Please just take the stuff for what it is. No, Glacier Bell, because I don't do that. And honestly, if I was as quick to jump to conclusions as that, based on the few things I've watched and this as well, like, come on, no one would watch me. It's not what people watch me because I am the opposite of that person. Okay, thank you very much.
And I don't think this is a good reason to kick somebody off an expedited screening list. But that wasn't your position. Your position was he was explicitly targeted by the government because of speech that he's made in order to kick him off this list just to harass him individually.
Keep watching, you'll see, bro. I'll see.
So you agree with that, but you just think that you have a different sense of whether that's okay or not. You agree with that factual component, that it's the most likely outcome.
But your thing was not, you said your interpretation was he was explicitly and specifically targeted because of stuff that you thought was like clearly violative of the.
Yes. So
he said what? But we don't even know the truth of it. Could have literally been a random screening.
I want to give counterpoint a chance to leave.
Well, sure. Here, I just question. Wait. Just one final question. What evidence could there be? Like, could it have been a random screening because it was 20 minutes long and nothing happened? You agree that nothing bad happened besides him getting asked questions for 20 minutes?
When you say could, what do you mean? Do you mean like could it be like logically? Is it possible that?
Yeah.
Yes,
could it have just been? What's more likely?
Yeah, logically, it's possible. I think it's way more likely that his stop at the global entry line had to do because his global entry was revoked. Do you agree?
No.
Okay. I think that being in global entry line when you don't have global entry that you're being stopped, it's most likely because you don't have global entry, right?
Have you ever traveled internationally?
Would you get? I don't know. I've never done global entry. I've never done any of that shit. What would you that's sorry, it's just is there any harm in me saying this? Probably not. I don't think there's any harm in me saying this, is there?
No.
I'm very surprised by the roster of people in my DMs, right? who saw my clip talking about, like, isn't it weird that like all the people who called erudite Ghislaine Maxwell are seemingly okay with Aaron hanging about in their communities, even though like Aaron's betrayal of Pixie's trust and like privacy and everything was like actually quite a bit worse than what erudite did. Clearly worse. Yeah, there's a number of people in my messages like, hey, I was thinking that too. And it's like a very unlikely cast. I'm sorry. All right. I'm not going to tell you who, obviously. You know, people have their privacy.
Yeah, Loner.
But yeah, that is funny, isn't it? That's odd. Off scot-free. Yeah, hello, Spider. Hi.
So I have a question about the Quillman tweet. I'm not sure. I could be wrong on the tweet, but like, I could be wrong. I think Quillman said like there's evidence of Trump's orchestrating. I could be wrong. Orchestrating January 6th or supporting January 6th, but there isn't explicit support of Hasan Piker supporting October 7th, right? You know what I'm talking about? Is that? I think that was the tweet that I added you on. If you want to check it out.
Okay. I don't really know if I want to go into this on tweets. Hang on. This is Queeman.
Yeah.
Trump supported January 6th. This is the guy claiming he's going to make the definitive video, by the way. My point was that he instigated and orchestrated it, whereas even the argument for Hasan supporting October 7th isn't explicit. I mean, Trump's support for October 7th wasn't, for January 6th was not that explicit.
Regardless of what anyone says, that image of baby Muhammad should enrage all
I mean,
of us.
Trump incited
I want
January
justice
6th.
for Palestinians.
Hassan did
yeah,
not
I mean, like,
incite
yeah, but like,
7th. Did he support it? I don't even, did he? He runs Apologia for some of it. His explanation for why it happened is just like, yeah, he does follow this line that like, it only happened because of Israel's actions. Like there's no agency on the Palestinian side. Like Israel basically made it so that there was no other alternative for what would happen. Like the colonizer sets the tone of violence or whatever the fuck, even though that's not what happened. So apologist, does he support it? I don't know. I mean, he thinks it was inevitable. He thinks Israel's actions guaranteed it and not that there was a whole other fucking government on the other side making decisions and calculating. So, I mean, he's a revisionist, I guess. He's a revisionist. What did you expect, bro? Yeah, that's like, yeah, he's a bit of a revisionist.
I mean, like,
I don't know if he supported it the same way Trump supported January 6th. No.
I mean, like, my take is like, well, if Hamas only went after military targets, it wouldn't be as bad as, well, October 7th, because you're attacking civilians, right? Like it wouldn't be. I think Hamas, if they did attack, like, only attack military targets, they wouldn't be as criticized, right? Kind of ish.
Probably not. No.
Right.
Yeah, definitely not. But what's that got to do with Hasan, whether or not he supports it?
Did he call? Well, is there any clips of him like supporting it, kind of, or what?
I don't think there is. Just saying, the problem with Hasan is that he, people who support and celebrate October 7th are everywhere in his community, and he also pushes them. And to me, there's no way that is an acceptable disagreement to have. Like, you can't just be like, oh, I like this person's content. I think they got good views on Israel-Palestine. I just disagree with the fact that they supported the fucking murder of 800 Israeli civilians. That's, to me, that's enough of a red flag or enough of an issue to just go on. So even from the stuff that he says and does, it's completely unconscionable. You know what I mean? The fact that it's an acceptable position to have in his community, and he'll still promote you even if you support it. And if you want it to be more extreme, like there are people, Hasan promotes people who wanted October 7th to sweep the entire country.
Yeah.
And also, he openly supports Hezbollah and the Houthis. So, and what do? They target civilians. Hezbollah displaced like 100,000 Israelis, or was it 50 to 60? I can't remember. Tens of thousands, we'll say.
Yeah, didn't Hasan call Hamas like a
civilians.
Movement?
Hey, what?
Didn't he call Hamas like a resistance movement? And like, didn't he compare like the ghetto? What the fuck is it called? Like ghetto rising?
Warsaw Ghetto uprising. Well, he compared the Houthis to Warsaw Ghetto, I think, not
the Hamas. Okay.
Like, I don't know if you could live in a world where, like, say, Destiny was watching fucking Fuentes' videos or Myron's videos and like agreeing with 80 or 90% of what they're saying and using them to educate his audience, but just being like, yeah, but I don't agree with them on the anti-Semitism. Like, no, you would never. But this is the problem. I think with Hasan and the stuff that he supports, maybe America did this to themselves. The fact that terrorist is just something that we tend to associate. If you lived through the Iraq War, you know that, like, in America, terrorist is just like some boomer bitching about Muslims. Stupid. But the fact is that terrorism is actually like a really fucking bad thing. It's like that thing where they tell us it's bad in school, but they don't really tell us why. The fact that Hasan can openly support groups that target civilians, not collateral damage, they aim for civilians and hit them. That's such a fucking mental, beyond the pale position. But I think a lot of people just watch it and they just don't think it's that much of an issue. Like, it's a tolerable disagreement, and that really fucks with me.
Yeah, and the Houthis call it the death for Israel and America. You know, pretty crazy, pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah, and it's also not to mention, like, let's be real, like, what any of these groups would do to all the civilians in Israel if they could. It's just, it's fucked. The fact that that's like a tolerable thing to openly, not just to run apologia like with Hamas or to celebrate, but it's to celebrate it and glaze it and glorify it. Like, God, people died in those Houthi attacks when they're sinking ships and stuff. Like, it's not just kidnapping. People died. Innocent people died. It's like, they're just murderers. It's not even to mention what they do to their own people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder, are like any other like European countries like kind of harsh on like the whole like terrorist supporting compared to the United States? Like the whole free speech stuff?
I think UK is quite harsh. I don't know if France is as well. Germany? I think Germany is, but I don't know exactly in detail what they do. Yeah, I think Israel just had Houthi alarms today, didn't they? They had sirens because the Houthis were firing rockets. Yeah. Okay. Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Well, I go back to this video.
They good.
All right.
If you go to the wrong line, they don't pull you aside for 20 minutes of questioning. They tell you to go to the other line. I don't know why you think going into the global entry line, we gotta pull this guy aside for expedited questioning. They would just say, hey, you don't global entry, go to the other line. So no, it had probably nothing to do with it.
Give me a 2-sentence summary of the debate. Liberals and progressives are being useful dumbasses for socialists.
Gang, gang.
Hey,
This has been
can
a.
you
This has been.
recommend some weird niche thing to do with a girlfriend in tow, late 20s, in Aberdeen for a Saturday smile?
Whoa. Thanks to 20 euros. I'm not in Aberdeen anymore, so you can't come and see me. For a Saturday. Weather depending? I don't know. What do you guys do? That's a really broad question. That's a really broad question. The beach is cool. Go to Fitty. Find a place called Foot D. That's really cool. It's like a little gnome village. It's very strange at the harbor. Anything along the beach is nice. If you like eating food, I guess anything on Rosemount Place or fucking Windmill Bray is cool. If you like hill walking, go to Benahee or Sculty Hill. They're a bit out of town, but you can get a car and go there. I don't know. What do you like doing? The fuck? You just missed that big fucking boat show that they had at the harbor the other weekend, but rip. Hill walking is hiking. Yes, they're the same thing. Yeah. I don't know. Take some cocaine and go to a football match. I mean, not that. Don't do that. Don't break the law. But also, you know.
Show. We're going to give the mic to each of these individuals to give closing statements and where you can find them. I've links to all their stuff in my YouTube description. If you've enjoyed the show for whatever reason, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We do stuff like this all the time. It's very fun. I'm going to keep streaming after. They can stay if they want. They can leave if they want. I don't care. I have some things to say. But we're going to give it first to Counterpoints, and then we're going to let Pete go to the last word, and then we'll just go around. Go ahead, Counterpoints.
Yeah, so I came to this conversation hoping to discuss the fact that I feel like progressives are sometimes useful idiots for socialists. I also had a pretty clear definition of socialism that I asserted half a dozen times. Instead, I got accused of being a conspiracy nut and that I didn't know history. I feel like I've consistently demonstrated that I have a decent...
Okay, watch the 2:05:35. Are we just skipping around now?
Nobody will come out of that.
No?
It is a combative tone. Nobody will come out of that conversation. Tone is more than just your like actual timbre of voice. Hold on. How many people would come out of that conversation thinking, "Wow, Destiny and Myron seem to agree on quite a bit"?
And how many people would come out of my conversation think, careful!
You got yourself because you knew how much you knew how foolish you were. Oh my God! Exposed in 8K, 120 FPS, fucking 120 frame rate, 240 refresh rate on monitor, broadcasting live, all over the fucking world exposed.
No, I'm not backing off.
Is it because people watch the Vanguard thing thinking that they were chill with the Vanguard? I guess. Yeah. All right.
Position. So I'm saying if you watch the actual stream and listen to the words being said, then no one would come away from that thinking that we didn't combat them. If they watch the Destiny stream, where you're smearing us, or you're smearing us as socialists.
Wait, question. Okay, wait, question. If you were to look at the chats.
So if you watch the Destiny stream where he's slurping out every 2 seconds, and if you watch the Destiny stream where he's like, I don't like that, then maybe you get that impression.
Oh, okay, wait, I'm curious. Wait, if you were to look at the chats, do you think there were more people in my chat who were favorable to Myron in our conversation, or more people in your chat that were favorable to Vanguard?
That's not the analysis. That's not the analysis at all.
I don't want to answer that question because you know exactly. That's the whole point. Thank you. That's the point. That's the point. That is the point. That's the point.
Do you have a nice answer the question? Do you have a nice tone with Myron? Yes or no?
The point of tone is what is it?
He does have a nice tone with Myron, but they also like argue on every single issue in terms of the entire like worldview. I don't know. Apart from, I think I saw one time of them speaking when they were both shitting on Trump. But what are you gonna do there? Aaron segment at 2:24. Let's go. I don't really want to talk about Aaron that much. I just felt like there was something that had to be said. Apparently, I'm not the only one. All right.
Fascist or a tyrant or an authoritarian just because there's no example of it working. It would be inaccurate to call someone, even if they're deluded, even if they think like, okay, my way will work. You know, all these other times they did it wrong. That it's not accurate to call that anarcho-capitalist or that anarcho-communist a tanky. It's just not. And I think that you must acknowledge that. Like, if you acknowledge that, for example, in the Spanish Civil War, anarcho-communists were communists were killing each other over these like differences in ideology and the support.
No, I take your point. No, I take your point. But like when I say communist, I mean Marxist-Leninists. That's what I mean. Whether it's technically true or accurate, right? Wow. Just like as you said,
you don't care. You don't care if it's true.
Socialist people define it broadly and mean different things. I'm assuming most people mean, right, when they say they're a communist, is they're a Marxist-Leninist.
Right, so why don't we just get past the semantics and actually get to the actual prescriptions?
I do have one more clip.
Let's get past the semantics and just say, all right, in terms of prescriptions, what do we want? Like, do you want me to cancel a show with Econoboy because he labels himself a socialist? Do you want me to stop interacting with anyone who labels himself a communist or hosting a show with that? So what do you actually want?
That's not any of my advocacy.
I want you to own them in the marketplace of ideas.
But I do have one more clip we have to play, so if we can watch that just real quick.
30 who makes at least 150 grand a year and is still embarrassed to take your shirt off at the pool.
And issue by issue, I'll be able to tell you because it's going to be more clarifying than just giving you a label. Because people just project onto it whatever they want.
Are you in favor of abolishing private property?
Oh, yeah, I am.
Okay, let's go.
You say these things and you have this tone of voice. It's like
you
like
can't
a
tell if
smirk.
she's
So I
serious
can't
or
tell if
not,
you're being
yeah.
sarcastic or not.
She's so serious.
I know.
No, I'm dead serious on that one. I am. But
so-
I guess I.
Is this what we wanted to see?
Yeah, what's the contradiction there?
I don't know. All right, what's the next
No
topic?
contradiction, right? Wait. So you understand, as part of your definition, right? As part of your definition for what socialism meant, it entailed people being against private property. And private property here meaning capital, all right? The means of production. So that is not inconsistent with someone being not a Marxist.
AOC represents some sort of like socialist revolution in America. Like,
do you agree, yes or no, Stephen?
I mean, I don't know.
Do what?
Do you agree, yes or no, that just because someone's in favor of the abolishment of private property, that doesn't necessarily make them a Marxist-Leninist?
Yeah, that's true. That's not necessarily, because you can be like one of those slightly confused people who believes in like anarcho-communism, and it will all just be transferred through some kind of amicable process without any state or means of violence to do so. Yeah, and I don't put that past Aaron, right? Really? Are we actually saying that she's like a closet USSR person? I don't think I've seen any evidence of that. I don't think she's like a tanky. No, I've not seen that.
Not necessarily, but if you're too scared to call yourself, or if you say you don't want to be a socialist, but you are more extreme than that and you're a communist, if you say that you're in favor of like the abolition of private property, if you say, we don't have to watch it, I guess, but the last clip is, I'm sure you'll explain this one too, when you say things like, oh yeah, I wish AOC would like a socialist revolution in the United States, where revolution historically is like aligned with a violent revolutionary overthrow of the capital class.
AOC says revolution. The politicians themselves are going to say
this is the issue, and this is exactly why I said earlier, I don't think AOC should call herself a socialist, because this is the game. This is like the meme, right? I don't think AOC.
You can't believe these people are that naive. What, really? In politics, online, alt media, with random fucking streamers? Yes, I believe people are naive, you fucking idiot. Yeah, you're naive for not realizing that people are this naive. Yeah, if someone can think that she wants to abolish private property without thinking it needs to be like the entire state seizing it by means of force and then going back to the fucking Soviet Union. Like, yeah, there are actually people who think there are other ways to achieve the abolition of private property, believe it or not. Yes, there are academics who believe this. I don't know if I've seen any evidence at all that Aaron wants to do it the old school way, the 20th century way. I don't know, like, can people not just challenge Aaron on her beliefs? Like, just listen to her argue for a position. Like, listen to the thing I showed you from the Hutch conversation. Like, her problem is that she's like dumb as rocks. I don't know. Fuck me.
A violent revolution when she says it. I don't think so. But like, this is the game that you end up playing.
But Aaron does. But Aaron does.
Absolutely, yes.
Aaron does mean violent revolution.
Yes,
and that's based on so why are you distinguishing how AOC says it and Aaron says it? You justify that. Go.
Do you guys understand? Do you guys understand that the word tanky was coined by socialists, by communists, right? You understand that it was communists who saw other communists from the same party, I think it was Communist Party of Great Britain, supporting Stalin when he rolled tanks into Hungary to suppress a popular uprising. And some of those communists were like, yeah, that's good. Fuck them. And the other communists were like, no, we don't do that. You guys are tankies. That's where that kid, because they roll tanks. It was communists shitting on other communists. There's nothing more quintessentially socialist than the fact that the word tanky was coined by other communists. But, Khrushchev, not Stalin. Fuck you. Thank you, chat. Yes. Wow, I've cultivated such an intelligent community.
Because when Aaron says it, Aaron says that she thinks that most socialists would be communists, but they're too scared to say it publicly, implying that her position is more radical than what most socialists would admit to.
Entailment there. That doesn't mean anything.
Hold on, wait. When somebody said, do you think, no, stop. Do you think it's more likely that it's more radical or less radical when she says that? What do you think that means when she says, I think most people wouldn't own being, I want you to explain that. When she says, I don't think most people would own being communist publicly, so they call themselves socialists. What does she mean when she says that?
I think she says that communism has a particularly negative connotation and denotation, sort of embodied in the definition, but that doesn't imply, that's just saying that she thinks that the distinction between a socialist and communist doesn't make sense.
This is a Hasan game. This is ridiculous.
Aaron probably says communism instead of socialist because it's more triggering. That's probably the only reason.
Socialist doesn't have a negative distinction.
She probably thinks they mean the same thing, and her saying communist just makes her like happy. I don't know. Like, is it that complicated?
In the United States, but communist does. Like, what a delusional take. Like, it's just
wait. You acknowledge I didn't just say that, right?
What you said that the reason why you might say
I didn't.
That's what it's. That's what I heard. No. You said you made it sound like communism has a negative connotation versus socialism. I don't think there is one.
Did you acknowledge what I said? There was comparative. I said comparing socialism and the term communism. And do you agree that communism has a more negative connotation than socialism? Yes or no?
Not meaningfully, no.
You don't think that the term communism, so you don't think there's a meaningful distinction in the connotation of communism and socialism in this country?
No. There is not a single person in the United States where you go, hey, somebody's like, are you a communist? You're like, oh, no, I'm not a communist. I'm a socialist. I'm like, oh, whew. No, that's fucking stupid. And there's not a single group in the United States where you're hanging around a bunch of people who are like, oh, I'm socialist. And you're like, oh, you're socialist? I'm actually a communist. And I'm like, ooh, that guy's trans. So no, this is fucking stupid. It's such a stupid.
You and I, David, you and I live in a different country.
Okay.
Obviously,
I think I know what's wrong with you guys, especially fucking Glitterbell. Oh my god, I love you, but Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, look, this is the problem, okay? The problem is that tankies do this, okay? They're like an iceberg, okay? They've got their little social democracy here, okay? And then they've got all their retarded fucking bullshit down here, okay? That's what they are. The problem is, most of what they're communicating to the world is this part. This is the bit that they're communicating to the world, okay? So if this is the bit that they're communicating to the world, other people are only hearing this part. They're only hearing this. So there are other people who might identify with this socialist person, but they might only have this, and that's it, right? They might only have this. So they will do a lot of the same dog whistling and fucking signifiers and communicate a lot of the same red flags that this person does, but they genuinely have no fucking idea that there's anything down here, right? And I think the problem is that, again, and right-wingers knew this when during 4chan and all that shit, like with the Charlottesville riots, like they knew that when people, what do I do? A brain. When clever people, it's the shittiest fucking, okay, let's do a little brain here, okay? Well, brainstem. Okay, this is the really clever people, okay? So many wrinkles. Like these people here with the hairy fucking ballsack brains, they are very aware of this, right? They know what's going on. But then they see people doing this and they'll be like, oh, you're just saying that because you believe all this. And then the person here genuinely is like, what the fuck are you accusing me of? No, I don't. I believe this stuff at the top. I'm not none of this other stuff that you're accusing me of. You're fucking crazy. You're crashing out. You had derangement syndrome. You're probably sexually attracted to Hasan and you can't handle it. Like, that's what they're saying to this person here. And then this person looks like a fucking retard, right? That's what happens. Like, unfortunately, you do kind of have to communicate with this most of the time. Like, that's the purpose of it. That's how it works. It basically takes this person who jumps to treat these people like this person, even though the approach has to be kind of different, because these people might genuinely not know some of the things that they're communicating will also mean things like this. You understand? Okay.
Proof is in the pudding. Do you think that Mamdani would have won the Democratic primary if he called himself a communist?
I don't know, maybe.
Okay, I don't think he would have won. I think that there's a much more negative connotation on the term communist and they're socialist, and I don't even think that your audience, as sycophantic as it is, would deny that.
I think right of Biden, these are synonyms.
I mean, I think it's okay. To be fair, I think it's obviously the case that, I mean, intuitively, right? I think there's a reason why a shitload of people in America identify themselves as socialists, but not.
Fuck you. This, generally speaking, this is not what I was looking for. Thank you. Where's the other thing go? It's gone. I closed it. Whatever. Okay. What was I going to say? The thing is, the people who do have the underlying horrible shit, and they are aware of it, and they are actually hiding a power level and not just kind of falling for the surface level arguments and only identifying with those. People who hold the underlying beliefs will let those beliefs slip. They will always give you a moment where you can be like, there it is. So just show that. Just demonstrate it. Fuck. Econo boy. Okay.
No, I was just going to give a silly hypothetical a la Hasan versus Trump.
Hey, it's Tally. Fuck. I thought Tally was like a fucking gold find of a debate partner for the Doobie Israel-Palestine shit. But apparently she's like, is she one of those people who's like kind of retarded in other issues? Like the MAGA shit or the culture war? She did say she had a problem with woke. And I'm like, usually that sentence implies not good. Oh, well, it's okay. I will bury my head in the sand. It's fine.
President of the United
She's obsessed with trans. I had no idea. What the fuck?
States. Mike from PA or Talibots?
I mean.
Wait,
in
what
the
was
Live and Learn episode, we really didn't get to learn a whole lot of.
What was the question? Hang on.
No, I was just going to give a silly hypothetical a la Hasan versus Trump. President of the United States, Mike from PA or Talibots?
I mean.
Isn't her partner trans? I don't know. I don't care.
In the Live and Learn episode, we really didn't get to learn a whole lot about your actual political ideology. other than
I'm sorry. This is just.
No, but wait, do you disagree? Like, Talia didn't really.
I'm wondering if you're making a joke here. Is this serious?
He's not. He's not making a joke.
Oh,
I mean, Mike from PA would literally like cull the Zionists, right? And he thinks most people like Mike from PA is absolutely like he makes violent threats all the time. He actually does quite much harder than Hasan does for terrorism and shit. Like he mask slips on fucking anti-Semitism all the time. Yeah, I don't know, like if Tali would take trans healthcare away from kids or something. I don't know.
Wait, what's funny about? Wait, no, like obviously when. She said she voted for Trump, and she said like she used to have these. She said like more what she wasn't than what she was. I feel like, but I'd have to.
The fact that you have to think about this is part of the problem. But the fact that you have to think about whether or not Tali is worse than
well, I understand. I understand, Mike. Like,
Jew is not a fucking ethnic.
No, but I'm not.
I love that sentence. That's such a good sentence. Jew is not an ethnic. Fuck yes.
Pisco chose me over Hasan, and I think Hasan's worse than Mike from PA. And it was a pretty easy decision for Pisco. He made the same little quip about, but you voted for Trump, so I have to think about your judgment. But it was very easy for him to say that Tali and Hasan that he would vote for me.
I mean, okay, people think Econoboy's grifting. We don't talk about it as much on my stream as maybe as much as we should because my interest is Middle East politics. Okay, but Trump is really fucking bad, okay? Trump is horrible. He's so bad. He wants to get rid of birthright citizenship. He is surrounded by people who, if he doesn't want to do it soon, like there are people around him who absolutely just want to deport like all the Mexicans. You understand? Like his foreign policy changes on a fucking whim. He's a Putin glazer, or he's surrounded by Putin glazers. He actually did want to expel everyone from Gaza and turn it into a fucking Gulf state. Like, bro, Trump is really, really bad. And if someone voted for that because of some bone to pick that they have with whatever the fuck woke, like, I don't know. Like, don't forget it. Trump is really bad. But okay.
I guess I don't know what his actual socialist model is, but
someone
he
clip that
thinks
interaction.
Jews
by the
are
way,
a demonic ethnicity.
Zero Fox, you're in chat. Can you clip the hesitancy?
I don't feel that way, but
why do you want that clip? Like, is it the most unreasonable thing to say? Like, I just need to know more. Like, Talia could be a completely insane person for all. Like, I don't know about her. I don't want to say I endorse her.
More time.
You guys are also expecting people to be as plugged in as you. I don't know. Like, I would reserve accusations of grifting on that shit. Yeah.
Have you spent more time talking to me than Mike from PA?
Okay. Be right back.